And Chad. Excuse me. Oof. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Root Double Before Crime After Days. We are most of the way through Before Crime. We're about to find out what happened in the wrecked hospital, I believe. Before Chapter 5. So let's jump right back into it. If there's anything on your mind, let's talk it out. There's nothing, okay? Of course there's something. Is there a reason you just can't talk about it? For some reason, Mashiro's eyes were tinged with fear. For the 10 long years he had known her, Natsuhiko had never seen such an expression on her face before. Why is she so... But as if to interrupt his thoughts, Salu muttered. Mashiro, by any chance, was what you heard not the man's voice, but his mental voice? Mashiro gasped and looked at Salu. Salu, what makes you say that? If it was his mental voice you heard, then I would understand why you would be so adamant in your belief. What are you saying? There's no way I could... Contrary to her words, Mashiro was clearly caught off guard by the question. It wasn't that she seemed surprised to hear completely unexpected words. It was more like Salu hit the nail on the head. Even though Mashiro's ability was supposedly limited to telepathy only. Hold on a second. What's the meaning of this, Mashiro? Don't tell me you can actually use empathy? Answer me. Can you use it or not? Mashiro fell silent for a little while, but eventually she muttered in resignation. Yeah. Since when? I'm sorry I kept quiet about it. I've actually been able to use it for years. Years? Natsuhiko's mind drew a blank at the unexpected time frame. A trembling voice spilled out of his mouth. Then the reason you believe there's a terrorist plot... She read somebody's mind. It's exactly as Salu said. When we were on the bus, I heard the mental voice of a terrorist. Now that her secret was out, Mashiro voluntarily spoke about the next topic. I was talking with you two on the bus back then, right? Yeah. And while we were talking, someone standing a little bit ahead turned and looked at us. He was staring straight at us. I didn't notice. But why? I don't know. He was covering his face with sunglasses and a hat, so I couldn't read his expression. Well, that sounds familiar. But he looked quite older than us, so I was afraid he might have been a pervert targeting Salu, so... I knew it was wrong of me, but I used empathy on him. And then I heard his mental voice. For a moment, it was gentle. It said, man, hearing this really brings me back. Hearing this really brings me back? What's that supposed to mean? I don't know, but for just a second, his heart was apparently open to us, which explains how she was able to read his mind. The problem is what came after that. Right after that, he seemed to reconsider himself and thought this instead. Wait, keep your mind blank. In the off chance someone reads your mind, the whole plan's doomed to fail. And then I heard a bunch of fragmented phrases. Communicators are an abomination. Have to put an end to this town's history. Hold on just a few more days. Don't open your heart to anybody. Work under the assumption this is a city full of monsters. And then he shut his heart, and I couldn't hear his mental voice anymore. But for just a second, I felt his emotion. I felt his malice and his resolve to seriously commit terrorism. Natsuhiko gulped upon hearing Mashiro's story all the way through. So, what happened then? Well, he soon got off the bus, so I don't know what happened after that. Just like how we talked about it last night, I thought I was just overthinking it, but I just couldn't get the last half of those words out of my ears. It just kept frightening me more and more. So when you tried to talk with... So that's why you tried to talk with me, huh? Mashiro nodded quietly. It certainly would be odd for someone besides an actual terrorist to think those thoughts. It was hard to believe he merely hated communicators if he were taking precautions against having his mind read in such an everyday situation. The countdown of just a few more days also gave a sinister sense of legitimacy. But Mashiro, why didn't you just tell the truth to begin with? Why hide that you heard his mental voice? Well, she's been hiding that she's an empath. Probably so she doesn't get more scrutiny? True, then we could have avoided all this confusion. How could I just up and talk about it? Natsuhiko, you've been afraid of empathy, haven't you? Yeah, that's true. Huh? I've had enough of my friends turning on me because of BC. Now that she mentioned it, Natsuhiko did remember the conversation they had a few days ago. That was a good fade out with her sprite. If you think about it, it is kind of scary to think that the person next to you could be capable of using empathy. Oof! Natsuhiko, you're the type who fears having their mind read too, aren't you? Well, yeah, sure, there may be some people who are okay with the notion, but I find it frightening. So that's what it was. Natsuhiko finally realized just how oblivious he had been. Mashiro was probably trying all this time just to tell Natsuhiko she could use empathy. But she was afraid of how he would react, so she had kept it a secret, locked up in her heart. I'm sorry, Mashiro. I never even imagined. Even though both of us have already lost friends because of BC. No, it's okay. I'm sorry I've been deceiving you all this time. What was that noise? Oh, it was the ferret. Natsuhiko and Mashiro apologized to each other. It was quite a surprising development, but Natsuhiko somehow managed to come to terms with the truth. After all, since they both had similar experiences, he understood Mashiro's feelings painfully well. But Salu, on the other hand, calmly piled more questions onto Mashiro. Mashiro, when you sent in a report to the police, what did you tell them? I thought hard about how I should do it, but I told them the truth, that I heard his mental voice through empathy. But they wouldn't believe me. They said the terrorists wouldn't open their hearts to other people. Same thing when I reported it to the security department. I mean, they do have a point, but... You guys believe me, right? Her eyes were tinged with anxiety, and the ferret squeaked again. It broke Natsuhiko's heart to see her like that. I bet Mashiro's been feeling so desolate ever since yesterday. He finally understood why she was so indignant last night, and why she took such baffling actions today. It was because she alone knew about the existence of terrorists in the city. Because even though she knew they had to be stopped, nobody would believe her. Not the police, nor the security department, nor even her friend of 10 years. What the hell am I doing? I was supposed to believe in her, even if nobody else would, wasn't I? Natsuhiko ground his teeth and then looked at Mashiro. Of course I believe you. I'm sorry it took me so long to believe you. Is it too late to join you in your search for the terrorists? Of course not. As Mashiro smiled in relief, Salu spoke up. I believe you too, because you aren't lying. You can tell? No, but the ferret can. Salu held up Alice and replied. Actually, I've had Alice focus on your face for a while. She reacted to your anxiety and supplication, but she made no other reactions, so that's enough for me to believe you. I see, so that thing's sort of like your own version of empathy, isn't it? Alice isn't that advanced, but I have no choice but to believe in her, and I want to believe in you too, Mashiro. That's all. One sec, guys. I want to believe in you too, Mashiro. That's all. Honestly, I'm not that eager to get on board, but I believe it is my duty to protect you two. Ah, the both of us now, not just me. That's fine. That's more than enough. Thank you, Salu. Not expecting the hug, were you? Mashiro hugged Salu tight. A charming gesture in Natsuhiko's eyes. Looks like she's finally back to the usual Mashiro, huh? As Natsuhiko breathed a sigh of relief, Mashiro grinned at him and spoke. Okay, then let's get on with the search. Roger. Yeah, I'll give it my best too. Natsuhiko and Salu nodded, and the three of them left the hospital ruins. The three of them talked as they walked outside. Okay, then how should we conduct the search? It's so weird to think that 2030 is only 6 years away. It's gonna be so weird when it's 2030. Oh, that's gonna be so weird. Okay, then how should we conduct the search? Hold up, Mashiro. First, we should get a feel for each other's abilities. What's the real extent of your ability? Me? In my case, I'd say telepathy with an effective range of approximately 500 meters and empathy with an effective range of approximately 10 meters. Half a kilometer telepathy. That's pretty robust. I haven't been certified, but I'd say I'm around ability level 5. Huh? Natsuhiko was surprised by that answer. Ability level 5 meant you were among the highest of the elites among all currently recognized communicators. If you could freely use empathy on a target at a distance, you were classified as ability level 5. Remember the days when Avatar came out in 2009 and I saw it was supposed to have a sequel in 2016? Wow, that's a while from now is what I thought at the time. And it actually took 7 more years than that. What made it take so long, I wonder? Like, Cameron clearly wanted to make Avatar 2 and 3. He always had the plan. But it took him 14 years, well, maybe 13 years. I can't remember whether it was 2022 or 2023. Might have been 22. It took him at least 13 more years to make it. Why was that, I wonder? If you could freely use empathy on a target at a distance, you were classified as ability level 5. There were said to be no more than 50 communicators of that level in all of Japan. There were said to be no more than 50 communicators of that level in all of Japan. Hold on, that's seriously amazing, isn't it? I'm surprised too. You must be a genius, Mashiro. No, I wouldn't go that far. Mashiro had mixed feelings, but she was mostly embarrassed. Say, guys, I certainly can use empathy, but don't be afraid of me, okay? Huh? I know it might be hard to believe, but I absolutely do not peek into other people's hearts without good reason. When I read the terrorist's mind, I just made an exception because I was worried about Salu. So, obviously, it's not like I read your minds or anything. Yeah, I understand. I don't have a mind with anything worth hiding in the first place. Well, that's sad. Have a little self-esteem. And of course, we won't tell anyone else about it. We'll keep this our little secret. I see. Thank goodness. Mashiro was relieved to hear their answers. Okay, then how's your ability, Natsuhiko? I'm not quite so sure myself yet, but telepathy with an effective range of approximately 2 kilometers, I guess. 2 kilometers? Seriously? Did we establish that? Yeah, apparently. Around what ability level does that correspond to? Ability level 7. I've never heard of an effective range of 2 kilometers before. That far surpasses my ability at level 5. So, just maybe, could it be level 6? Mashiro looked at Natsuhiko with admiration. Now that he thought about it, Enna had mentioned that there could still be many unknown areas in the field of BC, which meant that there very well could be ability level 6 communicators and beyond. Hold on a sec, Natsuhiko. Try sending me some telepathy. Okay, hold on a second. And with that, Natsuhiko put a finger to his temple and focused. Mashiro, can you hear me? If you can, then please answer. He tried to focus hard on that message from the bottom of his heart. However, how was that, Mashiro? Hear me? Huh? I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything. Huh? Apparently, nothing happened. He didn't feel that odd sensation of his 5 senses dampening either. Looks like I still can't control it yet. I see. Maybe it was because you didn't have any message that you particularly wanted to tell Mashiro? I see. Maybe my ability only works when I absolutely need it. He wasn't entirely sure if that was amazing or an amazing letdown. 2 other reasons Avatar 2 took so long is that he ended up writing the scripts for the other future sequels as well. The first reason was the CGI wasn't as far as he wanted it to be. Is that what you said earlier? He was also waiting for CGI technology to advance to the point where it could properly portray his idea. I guess if you're gonna do underwater stuff, if CGI wasn't quite there in 2009. Took him a while. So he's got what? Up through Avatar 4 written and ready to go? He wasn't entirely sure if that was amazing or an amazing letdown, appropriate to what I just said. At any rate, since he couldn't use empathy at all, it would be hard to classify him as level 6 regardless. Yeah, like... Where's Terminator, James Cameron? Where's Aliens, James Cameron? Avatar was so bad. I'm kind of starting to regret not taking practice seriously now. If only we could use telepathy to communicate, we'd be able to split up. No, Mashiro, you remember that terrorist's face, so we should act together anyway. Ah, you're right. That's right, Mashiro. There's no point in us spreading ourselves thin after we finally manage to regroup. Let's all search together. Yeah. By the way, do you have any leads as to where to search? Not that I can think of, but for now, how about we start with the places in town where incidents have happened recently? Okay, then let's go. And with that, the 3 of them headed into town. Afterwards, they used their PDAs to check the news. Several institutions other than the BC Training Center had received the objectionable literature. They didn't learn anything more than what the trainer had told them, but after they had made their 5th inquiry, the 3 of them stopped for a moment's discussion. Okay, let's sort through what we know. Okay, first of all, the places that received objectionable literature were all BC-related facilities, correct? Yeah. Natsuhiko nodded. Several facilities, each relating somehow to BC, had received objectionable literature. And all of the objectionable literature was apparently signed Q. The first Puss in Boots film came out in 2009? Wow, it's been a while. Isn't the recent one where he fights death just the 3rd one? The 3rd Puss in Boots film? That's long stretches. Oh, you're talking about Avatar 2. I haven't seen Avatar 2. Avatar 1 made me not want to see any other Avatar films. Oh, the one with death is the second Puss in Boots. Ah, okay. Puss in Boots 1 came out in 2011. 12-year gap. And all of the objectionable literature was apparently signed Q. The receiving parties each had different reactions to the literature, but all of it was rounded up by the police or the city security department. Also, there have been several fires lately, and they all seem to selectively damage BC-related facilities. That's worrying too. It might be a coincidence, but beginning with the city's largest research facility, the BC Development Center, 3 such facilities have suffered from fires. Maybe the reason the security department has been so desperately rounding up the objectionable literature was to not fan up anxiety. But I still don't understand. What's the purpose of distributing objectionable literature? Threats, intimidation, prelude to terrorism. Yeah, what's that all about? The objectionable literature and the bomb threat at school did indeed seem to be no more than the criminals taking delight in getting a rise out of people. But then Mashiro spoke up as if she had remembered something. Wait a second, you two. What if causing all this panic itself was just a means to prepare for their goal? Prepare? Well, I get the feeling that this trick resembles how Q has carried out their terrorism in the past. It resembles it how? 12 years ago, there was an incident called the Sarobetsu City BC Laboratory Explosion. Right before the incident, Q caused an arson panic all around the same city, except the research facility that got bombed was a completely different place from the arson targets, so there was no one to come to the rescue. They distracted the police and fire department with arson before blowing up their real target. So you mean, it's all a diversion? Natsuhiko gasped. So, pick out the place where they haven't targeted with the literature and arson. True, if you caused panic everywhere around the city, the police and security department would have no choice but to spread their attention thin. Just collecting all the objectionable literature and tracking down its point of origin would require allocating a good amount of personnel. If their next incident is using that same trick, then their real target is elsewhere. Then where do you think that real target is? The 3 of them thought for a second before speaking up all at once. The Parapsychology Research Center. It was the largest BC research facility in town, and they had visited it on a field trip just a few days ago. If Q was after BC research facilities, there would be no bigger target. Let's go, guys. Yeah, we need to inform the staff members. And with that, the 3 of them dashed off. For now, they took the bus and got off in front of the Parapsychology Research Center. Is this place being targeted? In spite of their misgivings, the area was quite peaceful. Mashiro stepped up to the building and tried to go inside, but... Huh? It's locked. Is it normally open? I think so. Should we check another day? No, we came all this way, so let's go look for a staff member or someone. It's such a huge research facility, so I'm sure there's at least someone around. I want to hear their story, at least. It would actually be a relief if they did get objectionable literature, too. They walked around the building's circumference as they spoke. Perimeter security was sparse. There was not a single guard to be seen. That's more than sparse. Furthermore, the building's back entrance. Ah, this door isn't locked. Huh? Just as Salou said, the rear entrance was unlocked. Security's way too sloppy here. Isn't that a little worrying? What if there's already been an invasion? Wait, it could be the tracks the terrorists left after breaking in. What do we do? Should we report it to the police? They'll laugh at you. No, that would probably be too hasty. They'd probably just laugh it off anyway. Mashiro considered Natsuhiko's statement for a second before continuing. Then how about we go inside for a bit and check? And get thrown out. Would that be okay? I wouldn't recommend it, but if anything happens, I'll protect you too. Ooh, you're such a lovable girl, you. Salou said that word again. Protect us, huh? I appreciate the thought, but you shouldn't do something so dangerous. There was no way he could expect such a small girl to protect him. Well, apparently the small girl can axe-kick adults in the head and kill them. If anything happens, I should be the one to protect Salou, and not the other way around. And with that thought, Natsuhiko trespassed into the building from the back entrance alongside the girls. As they passed through the corridor, they quickly came upon a wide room. It was the same office-like space they had visited during the field trip. The room was quiet, or rather, too quiet. Yeah, it's like there's nobody here. It's like they all went home for the day. Do you think the whole facility is taking today off? Something seemed odd about that suggestion. This was a facility that published many research results year-round. Okay, it has to be like 6 or 7 p.m. by now, guys. They might have just gone home. There has to be at least someone around. Let's just look a little. Yeah. The three of them nervously walked around the facility. However, no matter how much they searched, they found neither hide nor hair of a single person. For the time being, they returned to the first room and spoke amongst themselves. What? Seriously? Nobody came at all? Yeah, kind of strange, isn't it? Salou nodded and muttered softly. The weird part is the back door was open. They left school early, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was still the afternoon. Yeah, fair enough. That's not all that's strange. This facility supposedly conducts various sorts of research, but there's a striking lack of research equipment. Huh? You're right. She did make a good point. There were several office-like rooms, but there were next to no actual experimental devices to be seen. Now that you mention it, I got the impression that a lot of the rooms were empty or for storage. The real research facility is at the power plant. So is this just a front? Is this building just a front for Labo? Huh. If this building is just a front for Labo and there are only people here when other people outside are supposed to visit. Huh. Several rooms were locked, so maybe those were the experimental rooms? No, judging by the circumstances. Just as Salou said that. They suddenly heard a noise from outside the room. Every hair on Natsuhiko's body stood on end. He looked to see a brawny man entering the room from the window. From the window? Hey, what do you kids think you're doing? His outfit suggested he was a security guard for the facility. He seemed to have spotted the kids from the outside while he was patrolling around and shouted out to them. Natsuhiko was somewhat relieved and spoke to the security guard. We're sorry. We heard that this facility was possibly being targeted by terrorists, so we came here to inform you. Terrorists? The security guard stiffened at that word. Where did you hear that? It was doubtful that the security guard would believe Natsuhiko even if he told the truth. Natsuhiko thought for a second before answering. We heard that rumor from a friend. Oh, that's such a shitty lie, Natsuhiko. Oh, at least explain it. That's right. Recently, terrorists have been dispersing objectionable literature around the city. And it looks like they're targeting BC-related facilities, so we believe this place could be in danger too. I see. This guy is definitely one of the terrorists. Then allow me to get all the details out of you kids. And with that, the security guard violently grabbed at Natsuhiko's arm. Ow, what gives? Sorry, but please come with me to the security room. The security guard spoke in a stifled voice. And as soon as he heard that, Natsuhiko became suspicious. What? The three of them were well-intentioned whistleblowers. And yet the security guard was training his discerning eye onto Natsuhiko. It's like he's looking at a culprit. Okay, guys, you broke into a facility, and the security guard found you. Obviously, narratively, this guy's one of the terrorists, and he's not a security guard. But, it is perfectly reasonable for him to want to interrogate you in the security room. It's like he's looking at a culprit. Taken aback, Natsuhiko shook his hand out of the security guard's grip. Hey, what do you mean come to the security room? Well, I've heard that unrest has been spreading through this whole town lately. So, we need to strengthen our guard here. The security guard drew even closer to Natsuhiko. Hey, quit it! You're hurting Natsuhiko, aren't you? Yes, you should stop resorting to violence. Violence? I'm just trying to get you kids to talk. You're the ones who trespassed in the first place. You've got no place to talk back to an adult like that. The security guard shouted. Natsuhiko stood between him and the girls, but then... I thought I told you to stop. Salou spoke up, and perhaps the first time they heard anger mixed in with her calm voice. What? By the time the security guard spoke, Salou had already sprung into action. She rushed over to him and grabbed his hand. And as if in an elegant dance, she wrapped herself behind him and then German suplexed him. What? The security guard's large body flew through the air. Ah! For a second, Mashiro and Natsuhiko could not comprehend what had just happened. The security guard had struck the floor and passed out, the whites showing in his rolled-back eyes. Was this just a security guard? Huh? Salou, did you just throw him? Yes. Natsuhiko was speechless. How could such a small girl hurl a grown man like that? Salou not only excelled in wisdom and physical ability, but she was also well versed in the martial arts, apparently. That's amazing! Was that Aikido or something? Yes, he threatened to harm Natsuhiko, so I snapped and used a martial arts technique. And then you unsnapped that fast? You snapped, huh? You think we still had a few other options before knocking him out cold? Ugh. Disappointing. I protected you, Natsuhiko. Why are you mad at me? Yeah, that's right. She did it for you, Natsuhiko. No, I appreciate the thought, but... Natsuhiko looked down at the security guard sprawled out at his feet. Will he be okay? I held back. He didn't hit his head, so he'll wake up eventually. Confident that you could have killed him, Salou, but there's no denying that he didn't injure us, but we knocked him out, so it looks like it'll be a pain to smooth things over when he wakes up. So, think we should run? That would be best, but no matter what this man may say later, it was justified self-defense. You think so? Spurred on by Natsuhiko's confusion, Salou spewed a steady stream of words. I am familiar with Japanese law. Penal Code Article 36, Self-Defense, Paragraph 1. An act unavoidably performed to protect the rights of oneself or any other person against imminent and unlawful infringement is not punishable. Salou, we're trespassing, and he's a security guard. Even if said act is to protect the rights of intruders against the authorities, it is no exception. Really? Japan has laws protecting burglars from the people they're burgling? I mean, obviously stand your ground laws are a bit too much. You shouldn't have the right to murder somebody unless it's actual, unless you're actually defending your life. But Japan has laws that say that if somebody breaks into your house and you hurt them defending yourself, they can sue you. Oh no, it's rights of intruders against the authorities. Still, if you break into a government facility and attack people and they defend themselves, you can sue them? That's weird. This man was threatening to infringe on Natsuhiko's rights with violent behavior, so I unavoidably had to throw him once or twice. Well, that's a well-reasoned argument. You said you snapped. Are you sure you didn't do that very calculatedly? It seems a little forced, though. But they didn't have any time to discuss law here. Excuse me. All things considered, they technically conveyed the possibility of terrorism here, so they probably fulfilled at least a minimum of their civic duty. He's not going to take this seriously. Hopefully, they use this little scuffle here as a reason to increase security, and everything will turn out all right in the end. Oh well, let's get out of here for now, before things get crazy. Roger. Roger. And with that, they left the room. They broke off into a mad dash as they got outside. Once they got all the way back to the faraway residential area, they finally took a breather. Man, you guys are in good shape. Do you think we managed to escape? It's okay. I checked behind us as we were running. Nobody followed. Salou spoke without breaking a sweat. She didn't just train her muscle strength and martial arts technique, but her lung capacity too, apparently. I haven't run like that in forever. My throat's so dry. I know, right? Hold on a second. I'll go buy some drinks. She staggers off. Mashiro tottered over to a nearby vending machine. After a while, she came back carrying 3 bottles in her arms. Are there vending machines just like on the street in residential areas in Japan? Okay, Natsuhiko, Salou, my treat. Cerveza Cristal. What's this? Register Gold? It's an energy drink. It's got an ungodly amount of taurine in it. It's the perfect nutrition replenishment when your body's fatigued. Oh, you know what? I think this and the energy drink healing items in Yakuza 0 are based on the same thing. That sounds like it'll just make you even more thirsty. Natsuhiko took a gulp despite his complaints. With their thirst quenched, they got to the main matter of discussion. Anyway, there was something odd about that security guard, wasn't there? Yeah, I felt so too. He did say that they were tightening security, but did he really have to act that mean about it? Are all security guards in this city that oppressive? No, I really don't think so. There must have been some sort of reason. Do you think that facility actually received a threat letter too? Or maybe there was something besides that? Natsuhiko felt there were several suspicious points about what happened, but he didn't really understand any of them, so he couldn't come up with any guesses. And as they discussed everything that happened, the sky eventually began to darken. It's getting dark. You guys have been just standing in the rain this whole time. You must all be soaked. True. Should we start heading back, guys? Huh? Already? What do you mean already? It's dark and it's been raining for hours. Go home and get warm clothes on. Well, it's only the proper thing to do. We're already doing dangerous things. Working past nightfall will only add to the danger. Besides, we can't make Yuri worry, so let's end the investigation here for today. I guess. Despite Mashiro's words, she still seemed like she wanted to say something else. It's okay. Tomorrow's a Sunday, so I don't mind joining you again tomorrow if you want. I see, you're right. Mashiro finally smiled and nodded at Natsuhiko's words. I'm back! Cooking 101. Is there going to be a whole interlude where we get taught how to cook? Alright. Welcome back. Once Natsuhiko, Salou, and Mashiro entered the living room, Yuri greeted them as usual. Whew! We're back, Yuri. Mashiro sat on the sofa and took a deep breath. Hold on, guys. I'll make food after we rest a bit. Yuri blinked blankly and whispered to Natsuhiko. Did something happen to Mashiro? She seems really tired out. Well, we just ran like 5 miles. Yeah, about that. Natsuhiko explained to Yuri what happened that day. As if she didn't already know from being inside his head, the reason why Mashiro didn't come to the house in the morning, the existence of the terrorists, how the police and security department couldn't be relied upon. But for now, he glossed over how Mashiro could use empathy and what happened at the Parapsychology Research Center. After listening to the story, Yuri calmly spoke. I see. Sounds serious. Well, forget about me. I'm more worried about Mashiro. She had probably been worrying herself sick about the potential terrorist attack ever since last night. She had been behaving energetically all day today, but once they got back to the house, she crashed as if all her tension had snapped. If I'd only believed her from the start, she wouldn't be so tired out now, would she? With that thought in mind, Natsuhiko called out to her. Okay, Mashiro, as a token of my gratitude for all the food, I'll be the one to make dinner today. Huh? Mashiro's head jolted up in surprise. Yuri's eyes widened too. That's new. You're gonna cook, Hikarin? Yep, I am. And this'll go so well. Yuri couldn't cook at all, because she's intangible. She couldn't even hold a kitchen knife, because she's intangible! Which meant that Natsuhiko had to be the one to do it. Natsuhiko, you can cook? Well, I tried before, but it was completely terrible. So, that said, help me out, Salou. I can't cook either, but I'll try. Okay, guys, just pour a bowl of cereal. Okay, that sound good to you, Mashiro? Ah, thanks. Mashiro seemed a little happy. Okay, let's begin then. Okay. Natsuhiko and Salou stood in the kitchen and started off just lining up the ingredients. Go for it, Hikarin, Salou. Love is the very best spice. I think that's just a cooking cliché, but okay. Well, 2 halves make a whole, so if we work together, I'm sure we can compensate for our lack of skill. Have you ever heard the adage, too many cooks in the kitchen, Natsuhiko? Cooking is just another form of chemistry. As long as you get the measurements and times right, it'll turn out good. Probably. And with that wishful thinking, they began to chop the ingredients. I should have some Dinty more later. But the 2 cooking novices stumbled even at the very first step. Salou, wash the rice for me. Wash? Yeah, to remove excess starch. Understood. And she put soap in it. And with that answer, Salou grabbed the kitchen soap. Yup. No, that's not what I meant by washing it. I mean, you know, you run it under some water, and then you knead it. So I do knead it? Despite their essential partnership, who was on first, what was on second, and I don't know was on third, they were unable to communicate properly. Wait, hang on. The words for need and need cannot be homophones in Japanese. That joke only works in English. This could not possibly get any worse. As they moved on to make the side dishes, even more problems sprang up. Salou, the miso soup's too strong. Dilute it some. Roger. Salou answered like so, and then tossed a bowl full of water into the pot. Ah, no, Salou, you have to be more precise. Do I? You were the one talking about accurate measurements, Salou. You just said that quantities were important, didn't you? You gotta measure it out properly. But the recipe doesn't say how much water to dilute it with. I can only trust my intuition. Besides, the cooking terminology is too vague. What exactly is a pinch? Well, don't ask me. It's kinda... Even though they cooked while checking the recipe via PDA, the flavor mysteriously managed to betray expectations. Readjusting added another layer of difficulty. After nearly another hour of grappling with the ingredients. Okay, it's done. They finished cooking, somehow or another. They brought the miso soup and the meat and vegetable stir-fry to the table in 2 separate dishes. Hey, Mashiro, Yuri, we finished making dinner, such as it is. I gave it everything I had, or at least I tried. Hikarin, Salou, good work. Yeah, thanks, guys. Mashiro spoke happily as she sat in front of the dishes. Now then, everyone, put your hands together. Thanks for the food. And with that, they reached out to the dishes in front of them. But soon enough, Salou spoke sadly. The soup really didn't turn out well. It's because I botched measuring the quantities. Huh? No way! Shocked, Natsuhiko rushed to spoon himself a mouthful of miso soup. But it tasted as good as any run-of-the-mill miso. It's okay, Salou. It's good, you know? It really is. No need to worry. Because she can read his taste buds. But it's not good at all compared to Mashiro's. Well, if you're going to say that, then my stir-fry is the same way, you know? Let this just be a reminder of how delicious the food we normally get to eat is. I'm completely inexperienced, too. No, if you're going to say that, then I'm the one who's more inexperienced. No, I am. The two of them kept trying to out-humble each other. Mashiro giggled at their little exchange. It's okay, guys. They're both delicious. Thank you guys so much. Okay, that's a relief. It sure is nice to hear someone praise your cooking, huh? Exactly. So now do you understand why I don't hate my role in this household? Yuri smiled as she watched the three of them converse. The cooking was plain and simple, but before they had realized it, their usual warmth around the dinner table had returned. But then... Uh-oh. As if to shatter the calm mood, the sound of the intercom rang out. Huh, a visitor? Myself, yourself. Who could it be at this time of night? Very rarely did anybody visit this house at night. Natsuhiko felt suspicious as he answered the intercom on the wall. Hello, who is it? Ah, is this the Tenkawa household? Huh? Yes, it is. Is Mr. Natsuhiko Tenkawa at home? Who's asking? Natsuhiko felt a little uneasy, so for now he answered dishonestly. I'm a housekeeper here. Mr. Natsuhiko isn't at home at the moment. Is that so? Who might you be? Ah, my apologies. I am Takahashi from the Rokame City Security Department. The Security Department? Natsuhiko was suspicious. Why would the Security Department give this house a visit? What business does the Security Department have with Mr. Natsuhiko? Well, we just got a call from a security guard at the Parapsychology Research Center. He said that 3 people who appeared to be Rokame Academy students trespassed into the building and made a commotion. And when he tried to drive them out, they picked a fight with him instead and struck him hard enough to knock him out, apparently. Natsuhiko was terrified. that wasn't what happened. It was kind of what happened, Natsuhiko. Hold on, there has to be some kind of mistake. Please, allow me to finish. The security department member used polite words, but his tone sounded relentless. We at the security department make sure to properly investigate all tips we receive. We refer to the footage of the security cameras installed in the streets. And right after the security guard was struck, we certainly did see a male high school student come out of the PRC. And cross-referencing the citizen database revealed that it was indeed Mr. Natsuhiko Tenkawa. Uh-oh! Natsuhiko shuddered to think that they could identify him with such accuracy in such a short amount of time. But that wasn't the problem. What the hell did that security guard tell them? That's completely disjointed from the truth, isn't it? Perhaps he resented being flung, but what he said was clearly fabricated. Excuse me, did you hear me? Yes. So we at the security department apologize for making such a late visit, but we would like to ask Mr. Natsuhiko to come with us to the municipal office. Come with us? Natsuhiko understood full well what that phrase implied. The security department member didn't come here simply to ask for his side of the story. If that were the case, they could do it here and now. And the fact that he went out of his way to come here at night meant he came to take us into custody. Confused at the sudden turn of events, Natsuhiko decided to buy time for now. Hold on a second, I'll go contact Mr. Natsuhiko. He's always coming home late, so I'm sorry, but I must ask you to leave for today. Sure, thanks for your cooperation. Natsuhiko hung up the intercom and turned back to the girls, upon which they all looked back to him in worry. Hikarin, what happened? Well, it looks like someone from the security department came to take us into custody. You could just say to arrest us. Custody? Why? Don't tell me it was because of what happened at the Parapsychology Research Center. Sure was. Well, it does seem like that. It wasn't your fault, Salu. It was a little her fault. Indeed, although the three of them were guilty of wrongdoing, the security guard was even more malicious. But regardless of how things got this way, it's bad that we attracted the security department's discerning eye. Extremely bad. What kind of people make up the security department? They're like a police force that manages the city. Natsuhiko thought back on his knowledge of the security department. The Rokome City Security Department was an organization that worked with the police to maintain the public order of the city. They were founded in 2016 based on the privilege of a government designated top secret city to mobilize a self-governed police force. They were a large organization consisting of 8 officials, 32 sections, and 400 men, given just about the same privileges as the police. Not sure if the author's view of things is just wonky or if it's just a cultural difference. Could be a cultural difference about the level of self-defense. For example, they had the authority to inspect the city security camera footage and citizen database, the authority to carry extendable batons, as well as the authority to patrol, interrogate, and detain, and to take people into custody. Naturally, they didn't have the authority to possess handguns or to make arrests, but in exchange, their footwork was light, and they were able to intervene in civil affairs. Small fights, acts of discrimination against communicators, misdemeanors, and petty disputes were often reported more to the security department rather than the police. And I'll bet the security guard doesn't want the actual police on this. And naturally, those taken into custody by the security department were often handed over to the police. Crap, I deceived him with a spur-of-the-moment lie, but things look like they'll get messy if they take us into custody. True, we don't have time to deal with that at all. Even though the security department member said he'd leave for today, they could still sense his presence outside the door. Perhaps he was waiting for Natsuhiko to get back, or possibly he was starting to make the connection that the housekeeper was Natsuhiko himself. The 4 children sank into silence for a while, and eventually Mashiro muttered, Do you think I can escape? Huh? Escape? I mean, if they take us into custody and hand us over to the police, then I can't search for the terrorists. For starters, I can't even get back home. I have no choice but to escape through the window. You could stay the night. Hey, Mashiro, now that's a little... but naturally, I'll be going by myself. Just don't open that door. But then that would isolate Mashiro again. And she'd seen the terrorist's face. In the off chance that something did happen, there'd be no taking it back. I want to at least see her off to her house, but... As that thought crossed his mind, Natsuhiko looked at Yuri. The girl who could not leave the house noticed his glance and spoke. You don't have to worry about me, okay? But... The security department man is only searching for you, Mashiro, and Salu, right? I'm perfectly safe. I don't have to worry about a thing. And not just because I'm a figment of your imagination. I don't think I'm included, so it's okay for me to stay here. Natsuhiko was quite hesitant. Alright, what do we got here? I'm gonna guess Yuri High. Yeah, I'm gonna guess... Whoop! There goes the cap to my water jug. Yeah, I'm guessing Yuri High. Natsuhiko was quite hesitant. If they left the house just once, the security department could catch them easily, and who knows when they'd be able to return. But is it really okay? Is it okay to leave Yuri here alone? He'd promised to himself that he'd keep watching over her. He had thought that way ever since the accident 9 years ago. No, even before that. If only I could go back to that time. And with that thought, Natsuhiko's mind recalled the events of 10 years ago. The Yuri High got me an extra scene, didn't it? After Natsuhiko had heard Yuri's parents quarreling at home, Natsuhiko worried about Yuri and went to the park every day to see her. But 3 days passed with no sign of her. So, on the 4th day, he made up his mind and headed to her house once more. Yuri was standing all alone in front of her house. This is flag D for Yuri. Have I hit all the flags? Or am I going to wind up having to go back to an older save? Tell you if you missed one. Okay, good. Yuri was standing all alone in front of her house, with a horribly sad look on her face. Yuri. Her face shined like the sun as soon as she heard his voice. It shone like the sun. You can't get future flags if you miss one, I see. Natsuhiko, did you come to play? Yeah, you weren't coming to the park, so I got worried. I see. I'm so happy. I wanted to play with you, too. You should have just come to the park, then. But I can't. I'm not supposed to. Mom and Dad say I can't play with the other kids in town. Why not? Now that she had mentioned it, he remembered that her parents had called communicators disgusting. Even though their own daughter was a communicator herself. I see. So, let's play in secret then. Should we play at your place or my place? We can't at my place. Mom and Dad are there. And then Natsuhiko heard that angry voice roar from the house again. Hey, do something with that brat by the door. She's such a damn annoying pest. Oh, time to run, Yuri. All your goddamn selfishness does is drive her away. If you don't even want to bother raising her, then shut your damn trap. Man, what a bunch of assholes. Natsuhiko felt he had never heard such abusive language in his life. Yuri's expression grew darker and darker. Unable to stand any more of it, Natsuhiko spoke up to her. Okay, Yuri, let's go to the park right now. Huh? It doesn't have to be the park, just anywhere away from here. But if I go off and play on my own, the dad might get mad at me. Forget about your dad. You don't want to play with me, Yuri? Also, he's mad at you anyway. Of course I do. Then let's go. Come on. Natsuhiko pulled Yuri by the hand. He wanted to take Yuri as far away from there as soon as possible. Yuri hesitated for a second, but... Okay. She nodded ever so slightly, followed Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko took Yuri to the park. He thought that if even Mashiro were there, they could have fun playtime, but there's nobody here. Yeah, you're right. Unfortunately, nobody was around that day. Perhaps everyone was at the secret base in the outskirts of town. Well, fine. Let's just play by ourselves. What should we play? Barbie Horse Adventure. We don't have any books with us today, so how about we just take a walk or something? Huh? Sure, if that's okay with you, Yuri. The two of them took an aimless stroll around the park. You having fun? I am, because I'm with you after all, Natsuhiko. Well, as long as you are. I'm sure we'd be able to play more fun things if my other friends were around, though. Other friends? Let's see. If it had to be a girl, then... Oh, right. There's this girl called Mashiro. She's super energetic and super loud, too. I'm sure you two would get along quickly if you met. Mashiro, huh? Do you think she'd bother being friends with someone like me? It'd be fine. She's dumb, but the one good thing about her is that she easily makes friends with anyone. Come to think of it, there was this one time when she... Natsuhiko was determined to just keep on talking. He wanted Yuri to forget about the time and her troubles at home as much as possible. But no matter how hard he tried, Natsuhiko could not keep the sun from setting. It's gonna get dark soon, huh? Yuri sighed as she looked at the setting sun. You mean sighed? Her smile had already faded away. Come to Natsuhiko's house, stay the night, and never go back. I have to go back home. You do? Yeah, if I'm out too late, then Dad gets mad at me. Bye-bye, Natsuhiko. Let's play again, okay? And with that farewell, Yuri slowly walked away. She shrank as if in a silent cry for help. Wait, Yuri! Without thinking, Natsuhiko raised his voice. Huh? Yuri, you don't want to go home, do you? That's not true. I'm sure Mom and Dad are worried about me. I'm not asking about your Mom and Dad. I want to know what you really want. But it's not like I can just run away from home. So I do want to go home. That's a lie. There's no way you'd want to go back to a home like that. Yuri's face cramped. Natsuhiko's heart hurt, but he felt like he would regret it if he let her go home then and there. Yuri, please, tell me how you really feel. Do you really want to go back to a home filled with shouting all the time? Shouting about how much her parents hate her, too. Finally, the dam broke, and Yuri's tears came pouring out. I don't want to go back. I want to stay with you, Natsuhiko. She fell into Natsuhiko's chest and cried out for help. I hate how Mom never listens to me no matter what I say. I hate how Dad says I'm a pest no matter where I go. I hate how Mom and Dad never tell me what I've done that's so wrong. I try not to get in the way. I try to be a good girl. I try my bestest not to make them mad. Help me, Natsuhiko. Help me. Oh, this poor kid. It's horrible that she dies a year later. Oh, this poor kid. Yuri's sobs echoed through the twilit park. Her spilling tears soaked Natsuhiko's chest. As he watched her scream and shout, Natsuhiko remembered something. Ah, that's right. The first day they met in this park, Yuri had been crying too. She was so quiet, yet so sad. He wanted to put an end to those tears. And what he had felt back then hadn't changed since. In that case, huh? If you don't want to go home, then let's go somewhere, just the two of us. Natsuhiko gripped Yuri's hand. Yuri said nothing. Her face was soaked with tears. He couldn't tell what she was thinking. But even so, Yuri gripped Natsuhiko's hand back. He could feel her warmth through the softness of her palm. As Natsuhiko felt that warmth, he thought to himself. He swore that no matter what happened, he'd protect her for sure. That was when it all started. By that time, he had probably already convinced himself that he would do anything to protect Yuri. He had felt that way before the accident 9 years ago, and he still felt that way today. It sucks that she died a year later. Well, I'm pretty sure she died a year later. Oh, that poor girl. He wanted to keep protecting her without ever leaving her side, which is why she never leaves home. But now's not the time for that, is it? Leaving Mashiro alone to her own devices and staying in this house with Yuri probably wouldn't give him any peace of mind. And he couldn't take Yuri away with them, much less drag her into this mess. Natsuhiko thought long and hard, and finally he made up his mind. Okay, Yuri, please watch over the house for us. Got it. Okay, then shall we go, Mashiro? Mashiro's eyes widened at Natsuhiko's words. Huh? Oh wait, you mean you're going with me? Well, I can't just leave you alone now, can I? So much has happened today. It scares me to think about what could happen next. Even Salu cut in with a whisper. Then I'll accompany you too. I am partly at fault anyway. See, it feels a lot safer with three of us, doesn't it? We get out through the window and fall directly onto the security department goon who's waiting in our backyard. I feel a little bad about it. But thanks. Natsuhiko responded to her with a smile. For the time being, should we leave our PDAs behind? I get the feeling they can use the GPS functionality to track us. Yeah, we can come pick them up tomorrow. We should only take the bare necessities, like our wallets. Salu held Alice in her arms as she spoke. Alice doesn't have a GPS in it, does it? The three of them placed their PDAs on the table and raised the TV volume. They did so in order to cover the tracks of their escape as much as they could. Okay, we'll be going then. Yuri, you sure you'll be okay? Yuri smiled in reply to Natsuhiko's question. Hey, Hikarin, don't worry about me so much. You're working to protect the town from terrorists, aren't you? It's not that big a... Natsuhiko tried to deny it, but once he realized she wasn't that off the mark, he shut up. Yuri continued with a serious look on her face. Then you should go with Masharon and Salu. Okay, so every time he flashes forward and flashes back, he sees the watch, but when he flashes forward from the memories, Yuri has a moment where she's different. But they're leaving Yuri behind. So how's Natsuhiko going to react when they run into Yuri outside the house? Or at least Natsuhiko does. Then you should go with Masharon and Salu. You're definitely returning to the old Hikarin now. Back to when you were so righteous. You think so? I know so. But you mustn't make a repeat of what happened 9 years ago, okay? Overcome the past. I'm sure you can do it, Hikarin. Those words reached deep into his heart. Yuri's talking about what happened back then? Right before the accident 9 years ago, Natsuhiko left with Yuri, leaving Mashiro behind. And now he was going to leave Yuri behind. But Yuri didn't stop him. In fact, she was telling him to go. Telling him to overcome the past. Okay, Yuri. Natsuhiko quietly nodded. Well, we're just going to go out for a short little bit. We'll be back as soon as humanly possible. Okay. I can't go with you, but I'll be waiting for you all to come back home. I guess they are going to end the night back here. Natsuhiko exchanged a smile with Yuri before speaking to Mashiro and Salu. Okay, let's go, you two. Yeah, Roger. And with that exchange, they opened the window and escaped as inconspicuously as possible. Once they shut the window, Yuri gave them a word of parting. Be careful, guys. Natsuhiko nodded, and the three of them left. The sound of the TV that was left on leaked through the room and eventually faded into the distance. Into the darkness. God, Star Trek Into Darkness sucked so bad. For now, let's go to my house. We need to secure a hiding place. In accordance with that suggestion, the three of them headed to Mashiro's house. The Toba residence was quite nearby, no more than 3 minutes if you ran. But once they got close, they found more security detail guys. Huh? Hold on, guys. Natsuhiko and Salu stopped at Mashiro's command. What's wrong, Mashiro? There's somebody by the entryway. And true enough, they looked to see silhouettes standing in front of the Toba residence. Mashiro's mother was talking to two men. Who's she talking to? They hid themselves and strained their ears on the conversation between Mashiro's mother and the two men. Your daughter snuck into the Parapsychology Research Center and injured a security guard. The three kids gasped at the conversation, immediately alerting the security guys. The security department! The security department had apparently already gotten here. Mashiro's mother spoke in surprise. No, not my daughter. There has to be some sort of mistake. I'm sorry, ma'am, but she was caught by a surveillance camera. There's no doubt about it. Is it all right if we wait here for your daughter to return? Not at all. Besides, look at the time. I must ask you to please leave. This is bad. They're pressing her. It's partly true, so it's in some ways unavoidable. I'm sorry, Mashiro. It's my fault. It's okay, Salu. I'll explain the situation to Mom with telepathy. And with that, Mashiro placed a finger to her temple. Using telepathy on a blood relative was probably easy enough for her. And she was probably successful in contacting her, but right after that, Mashiro's mother shouted. Mashiro? Is that you, Mashiro? Shit! Shit! The security department member snapped back and looked around. Where is she? The security department member's voices echoed. There was no time to hesitate. Let's get out of here. Things are going to get problematic. God damn it. Mashiro's mom. How stupid are you? Right. Mashiro nodded and dashed off. But as she ran, she yelled, Mom, believe in me. I did nothing wrong. Mashiro's voice resounded in the dark residential area. They ran off, and the security grunts, who had strides much longer than any of them, caught up quickly. The kids avoided the security department and ran with reckless abandon. But no matter where they ran, the shadows of people who seemed like security department members appeared. There they are, after them! Each time they heard that, they turned back and rushed through a back street. Damn it, how can they manage to find us no matter where we go? Natsuhiko, it's those things! Huh? Natsuhiko snapped towards where she was pointing to find a security camera. Oh yeah, they can see us! We're so stupid. Well, we are teenagers. Damn it! The security department had the authority to use the security cameras. The camera footage was likely being sent to the municipal office server where they could inspect it in real time. They could check it on PDAs or something to follow the kids' tracks. What do we do? They're going to catch us. Calm down. Let's escape to a place without any cameras. Yeah? Where? The kids ran desperately, avoiding human presence, avoiding cameras, and wound up back in the parapsychology department where the security department will not check the interior cameras. Oh, the park. They're probably doing a better job at distracting the cops from the terrorism than the whole arson and objectionable literature thing? Yeah. And in all the confusion, they ended up in Rokume Park. Think we'll be safe here? No. Salou pointed to the woods as she said that. And hidden in the grove of trees was indeed another security camera. Not here, too. Damn it, is there no escape? The devices ordinarily used to maintain public order were now being used to track the kids down. Alice squeaked as if to speak for their anxiety. Excuse me. The security department's sure to show up here, too. Let's run. Right. Into the woods to get lost and die of hunger. Right as they were about to run, Salou took control of the situation. Wait, you two. Huh? The security department's going to look at that camera's footage and chase after us, right? Yeah? Then let's think about it the other way around. They won't search places where the cameras don't see us. Yeah, and? I'll manipulate the camera. Come with me, you two. Ah, you're a hacker! And with that, Salou entered the security camera's blind spot and rushed over to it. Okay, but it's already transmitted the footage of us showing up. If they run a search, they'll see that. And then she poked Alice around her neck, which caused some sort of cable to wind out of her. What's that? Alice isn't just a facial expression recognition device. She's also a multifunction mobile PC. The weirdest laptop of all time. But can she run Doom? Salou opened a panel on Alice's back, revealing an LCD display. And where's the keyboard? She's a computer? Yes, and this screen is a touch panel. She possesses all essential functions, including communication, audio-visual recording, and data input and output. She also accepts voice commands. Furthermore, Dr. Tenkawa pre-installed various sorts of software, so it should be no trouble at all to manipulate the camera footage using some of that software. What was she expecting you to have to do? And with that, Salou began to tamper with the security camera. She skillfully removed the cover on the security camera, took out the terminal port, and connected it to Alice's cable. Alice, start command. Capture 10 seconds of footage from the input pin and loop it into the output pin. End command. That's a pretty detailed command for that thing to understand. Tinkawa also installed Doom. Natsuhiko and Mashiro looked blankly as Alice answered reliably. Miss Salu, what might you be doing? Oh, now you're honorificing her. I connected the security camera's output terminal to Alice and captured footage from the camera. So now Alice has stored security footage that we don't show up in. So now, by connecting Alice to the input terminal and looping the footage... I see. So basically, we won't show up on the camera anymore, huh? Salu nodded at Natsuhiko's words. Yes, so now, even if the security department checks the camera feed, they shouldn't expect anyone to be in the park. Though we were caught on camera here once, so it's not a foolproof plan. Still, it's quite safer than any other place. That's amazing, Salu. I didn't even know you could do something like that. It's not anything that praiseworthy. For a 13-year-old, it absolutely is. So let's stand by in this park until some of the heat dies down. Yeah, I mean, I am a little tired. They're gonna watch your houses for the rest of the night, guys. Let's take a short break then, I guess. And with that, the kids sat down in the grass. Under the moon. 8:45 p.m. When they looked to the sky, the rain had stopped before they had realized it. Did we ever dry off? I guess we're still in the clothes we wore out in the rain. Did we ever dry off? We were drenched earlier. Alright. What do we got? I'm going to do... Mashiro and Yuri High. How's that? Gazing upward at the moon, Mashiro whispered, "Really, to think that things would turn out this way. I didn't expect it either. The security department basically seems like a police force, and they act quick." Yeah. Point with Yuri. Around this time, you would have been taking a bath or talking with Yuri about books. This wasn't exactly a change Natsuhiko had been hoping for. But for some reason, this time Natsuhiko didn't feel all that bothered or bitter at all. Why's that? What's gotten into me? Being a hero, he couldn't understand why. Mashiro just chuckled beside him. Hey, what's wrong, Mashiro? Is there something funny about the moon? No, I just felt kind of nostalgic, that's all. Nostalgic? Say, Natsuhiko, do you remember? Something like this happened in the past, right? Was it when we were, keeping Yuri away from her parents? Us getting chased around the city at night, I mean. You mean the serious escape plan? Oh, they were protecting the dog, right. That reminded Natsuhiko. That did indeed happen. What's that? It's just something that happened long ago. Well, elaborate, Natsuhiko. So here's the problem with Before Crime. Is that it keeps teasing me with interesting things and flash forwards briefly. But like 60% of Before Crime is not that interesting. Like, it's just character establishment for characters that I have a hard time caring about. They're kind of interesting, and the whole plot is kind of interesting, but it's not as interesting as what happened in After Days. And so I find myself going, ugh, another flashback when we get to the serious thing. It's just something that happened long ago. Natsuhiko recounted his memory of the past to Salu. It was about 10 years ago. We decided to keep a dog at this park. Just us kids. A dog? Yeah, he was a cute dog we named Sirius. Cuter than Alice? Huh? Well, probably about the same, I guess. The world building is cool, but there's long scenes about eating and shopping and repeated scenes about sitting in class and failing to do anything with your mind, and it's teasing me with the interesting stuff like the world building and the bits of plot. And now we're taking a break from a high energy dramatic chase to have a flashback about a dog. That's going to be establishing character details, but it's really just reinforcing character details we've already been shown. And the other thing is, there was more to theorize in After Days. Like the question of whether Yuri is a brain ghost or an actual ghost is an interesting one. But there hasn't actually been that much to theorize about in Before Crime. Alright, I'm going Mashiro High. Huh? Well, probably about the same, I guess. Natsuhiko smiled wryly before continuing. To us, Sirius was our dog, but to the world he was a stray. So, one day, the healthcare center conducted a stray dog hunt, and we were worried he would get caught up in it. So, what happened? Well, Mashiro and I talked about what to do with poor Sirius, and we hatched a plan to save him. A plan? As she asked that question, Natsuhiko's heart relived the memory of that night. When Natsuhiko and Mashiro heard about the rumored stray dog hunt from Yuri, they rushed to find a way to save Sirius. But they couldn't find anyone who would adopt him, and 2 days passed. Guess none of our friends' houses are winners, huh? That's because too many of them live in apartments and stuff. What do we do? Oof. Oh, that's the dog. That's the dog going, oof! Woof! Natsuhiko and Mashiro hung their heads. There's nowhere in this town for Sirius to stay. The evil healthcare center would likely get their sinister hands on Sirius eventually. But time was ticking away, and they had yet to find a suitable owner for him. If we don't do something, Sirius will really be killed. Natsuhiko held back his panicking heart as he thought long and hard about what to do. Eventually, a certain idea flashed in Natsuhiko's head. No, wait, there's still something we can do. I will say most of the flashbacks come as a result of the character flag scenes, but yeah, Route B is mostly slice of life up to a point. Not uncommon for VNs like this where a big chunk of it is slice of life, but those segments aren't for everyone. Yeah, I think, slice of life. Well, I can't say slice of life isn't for me because I love Persona so much. Does Persona count as slice of life? Maybe it's just better written and more interesting characters? Huh. Persona has slice of life scenes, but a lot of it is more managing your slice of life. Yeah, I guess everybody sees that in different orders, and there's some control over what you see and when. There's a lot of control over what you see and when. Huh. Maybe Persona maybe I feel about Persona slice of life the way a lot of people who hate turn-based combat feel about Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe that's it. Well, not as strongly as that. I don't hate slice of life, but there's more interesting things than slice of life that I gravitate towards. No, wait, there's still something we can do. We just need to get Sirius out of this city. Huh? But there's a fence all around the city, you know? Rokame City was surrounded by a perimeter fence in order to increase public safety, which we've established several times already. No man or dog could slip past the barricade, but if we don't do anything, then Sirius is gonna die. So, do we have any other option but to get him out of the city? But we'll get caught if we leave the city on our own, won't we? Dad told me so himself. If you try to leave town, you get locked up in jail. They won't lock up 6-year-olds in jail. Jail? Natsuhiko flinched at the sound of that word, but still. What are you talking about, Mashiro? Who cares if we get caught? Huh? If we don't do anything, who's gonna save Sirius? You know what? Maybe it's the length of the slice of life scenes. I don't know. Persona 5 is my favorite game of all time. It does a really good job of selling the characters and making them all interesting. So maybe that's it? Maybe how much I love the characters overpowers my annoyance at long slice of life segments? I don't know. I don't know what it is. Maybe the slice of life stuff in Root Double is just too long. If we don't do anything, who's going to save Sirius? Don't wait for someone else to protect what you hold dear. Protect it with your own hands. That wasn't a quote from anything, but words straight from Natsuhiko's heart. That said, it was words cut and pasted from lines of various anime and such that Natsuhiko had watched, but it got through to Mashiro regardless. You're right. You're so right. Mashiro took Natsuhiko by the hand as she spoke. Let's set him free, Natsuhiko. Let's save Sirius with our own hands. Looks like you finally understand, Mashiro. Yeah, but how do we do it? Haha, I've got it all planned out. We use the city gate. There's no fence there. Rokame City's outer circumference was surrounded by a fence, but naturally there were entrances and exits. The city had 6 such city gates. That sounds good, but they've got lookouts, don't they? But there aren't lookouts at night time, right? So we go at night, slip past the gate, and free Sirius. Oh, yeah, I think that sounds good. Okay, then let's do that. Mashiro and Natsuhiko gripped each other's hands tight. Mashiro, we might be rivals, but for now, let's call a truce. If we join forces, I know we can save Sirius for sure. Yeah! Bow! Their brave voices echoed in the afternoon park. That night, near the White Tiger Gate, one of the city gates, 3 fidgety shadows approached. They were Natsuhiko, Mashiro, and Sirius. They had hidden Sirius at home for the rest of the afternoon before slipping out this far from home. "We've come prepared." There was a note tied to Sirius's neck. The note was written on a piece of wood and strung around his neck. It said, "I am a smart dog. My name is Sirius. Please adopt me." And below that, it had the Tenkawa household's phone number. So now it'll be perfect if someone finds him outside of town. Yeah. Natsuhiko was unsure what the possibility was that he'd find a good owner, but he was willing to bet on it. I wouldn't be. That's pretty optimistic, Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko leaned down and made eye contact with Sirius. "Listen up, Sirius. The gate's shut, but I'm sure you can still slip through it. After that, just run as far as you can. If you can do that, I'm sure you'll find a kind owner who'll take care of you. Understand?" Dog does not understand. Dog's gonna wonder why you're abandoning him, and then just come back and follow you. Woof! Sirius let out just a small whine, perhaps because Natsuhiko was whispering. He really was a smart dog. Suddenly, Natsuhiko felt reluctant to set him free. But I need to set him free if I want him to live. As Natsuhiko pondered that thought, Mashiro shrieked. "Wait, Natsuhiko, there's somebody in front of the gate." "What?" Natsuhiko looked, and sure enough, there was what appeared to be a station box by the gate. A large man was inside, giving a sharp look about his surroundings. They have a lookout even at night. A lookout at night is almost where you need it more. Natsuhiko racked his brain. It's racked with a W. Racked his brain. And after some frantic thinking, he came up with a do-or-die last-ditch effort. "Sirius, I'm gonna go distract that man. You take that opening and run for it." "Oh?" Dog does not understand. "No, Natsuhiko, you can't. They're gonna catch you, you know." "I don't care. I don't care if I get put in jail, if that's what it takes to keep Sirius alive." Mashiro twitched at Natsuhiko's declaration. Excuse me. But she soon responded with a meek look on her face. "You're right. Then I'll help you distract him." "Huh? You sure? It's too dangerous for a girl. Also, we need somebody to lead Sirius outside the gate. I can't let you be the only one who gets to show off." Natsuhiko smirked at those words. He expected nothing less from his biggest rival, though he had the feeling if they were friends, she'd be quite a reliable ally. "Okay, then let's go. Run for it, Sirius." And with that yell, Natsuhiko struck Sirius on the back. But the dog didn't move. He just looked at Natsuhiko's face and let out a sad whine. That voice wrenched Natsuhiko's heart. You don't want to leave us?" "Bark. I see. I don't want to leave you either. But you need to go if you want to live." Sirius probably didn't understand Natsuhiko's words. Finally, Natsuhiko catches up, but he seemed to understand his intention. Eventually, Sirius looked towards the gate. "That's good, Sirius." Natsuhiko struck Sirius on the back once more, so that his feelings wouldn't sway again. Bow! And with that yelp, the 3 shadows broke into a run. Natsuhiko and Mashiro went up to the station box and started yelling. "Hey, you stupid old man! Who cares about this dumb old gate? This hunk of junk should just disappear!" What was that? The sudden disparagement from children caused the security guard in the station to jump up. He leaped out of the box and started yelling at the kids. "Hey, what do you snot-nosed brats think you're doing in the middle of the night?" He looked terribly enraged, but Natsuhiko shouted out, undaunted. "We're no snot-nosed brats. We're heroes." "The hell are you saying, kid?" At that moment, the security guard's attention was focused completely on the kids. "Now's your chance, Sirius," Mashiro yelled, and at the same time, a small shadow leapt out from behind them. The shadow slipped past the security guard and headed for the gate. "Huh? Hold it right there, you mangy mutt. Why are you keeping a dog inside? How is a dog escaping a security risk?" By the time the security guard reacted, it was too late. Sirius had already slipped through the gate and dashed into the tunnel leading outside the city. His small shadow melted into the darkness of the night. "You're so fast, Sirius." At that speed, he'd probably get away, even if the security guard chased him. And with that thought in mind, Natsuhiko watched Sirius off, though he was already out of sight. Goodbye. Natsuhiko bid farewell to his friend of only a short while. "Okay, Mashiro, draw back." "Roger." The security guard yelled something or other from behind, but they ran away without a second thought. They kept running with serious looks on their faces. Eventually, Mashiro let out an odd voice. "Hey, what's so funny? Quit laughing and run." "But it's just so funny." "Huh?" For a second, he had no idea what she was talking about. But now that she mentioned it, the joy of a successful mission, the excitement, and every other emotion mixed together. It certainly was worth a laugh. "See? It's kind of funny, isn't it?" Their laughter echoed through the night streets. A beautiful full moon looked down upon the children as it shined in the sky. As he recalled that event, Natsuhiko realized what Mashiro had said last night was what he had once said himself. Protect what you hold dear with your own hands, huh? When Mashiro said that yesterday, she was referencing what happened back then, huh? As Natsuhiko made that realization, Mashiro spoke. "Yeah, it was on a night with a full moon just like this, huh? We slipped out of our houses at night. Natsuhiko and I made an escape route for Sirius to get outside the city." "What happened to Sirius after that? Was he able to escape?" "After a little while, we got a phone call from someone living in the next city. It was a nice lady who said she was keeping Sirius at her house. After hearing the story, Salu spoke up honestly. Well, that's a happy ending." "Remarkable. You two saved a life." "I know, right?" Mashiro smiled triumphantly. Natsuhiko looked back fondly on that moment as well. "But all the adults probably got mad at us afterwards. We ran away since we didn't want to get yelled at. We ran all around town at night, huh? So tonight's kind of like what happened then." After hearing the story, Salu looked up to the moon and whispered, "That sounds like a very good memory." "Yeah, I think so too." Natsuhiko worked earnestly back then for the righteous cause of saving Sirius. He didn't stop to think too hard about the details. He just tackled the danger with reckless abandon. And he succeeded. Man, I am starving. I might get takeout after the stream. I haven't been able to afford that for a while, and I've got a few extra bucks. I'm starving. So I'll just do that again this time. With that thought in mind, Natsuhiko spoke to Mashiro, who was sitting behind him. "Hey, Mashiro." "Huh?" "Today was tough, huh? The security department's tracking us down, so we can't even go home." "Yeah. But now that things have escalated this far, we need the resolve to not go home until we've put an end to this, okay? Mashiro's eyes widened at those words. An end to this? You mean until we prevent the terrorist plot ourselves? Well, good luck with that. I don't know what exactly we can do, but it's better to try than to do nothing. Natsuhiko! Mashiro's eyes sparkled as she took Natsuhiko by the hand. Healing. It took you long enough, but now you've got the spirit. I'm so happy. Well, I'm just saying there's a matter of resolve. Since you're girls, I'm just thinking you'd need a change of clothes or a bath or something. No, considering the situation, that's no matter at all. Mashiro jumped for joy. But Salu, on the other hand, just had a critical look on her face. Natsuhiko, I thought I told you I don't recommend putting yourself in danger. I'm sorry, Salu. Salu glared at Natsuhiko for a while, before eventually muttering in resignation. Looks like I have no other choice. I will help you two to the best of my ability. Huh, you too, Salu? Okay, if all three of us give it our best, then there's nothing to be scared of. Natsuhiko looked at Mashiro and shrugged. Nothing to be scared of? Honestly? Even if the three of them did run into terrorists, the terrorists seemed more likely to overpower them than anything. But that's exactly why the three of them had to pull themselves together if they wanted to accomplish anything. Well, now that that's settled, what should we do next? Good question. It is getting kinda late. Sleep in the woods. First, we need to secure a place we can stay the night. Mashiro High. Save. Actually, we've been going for 2 hours and I need to feed the cat in a minute. I'm going to take a break. Be back in a minute. Alright, sorry that took an extra minute or two. Needed a snack. We'll bring chat back. Alright. First, we need to secure a place we can stay the night. I will go Mashiro High. Excuse me. Salou spoke as she disconnected Alice from the surveillance camera. She put away the cable and display into Alice's back, returning her to a more stuffed animal shape as she continued. I think you meant mere stuffed animal shape. It could start raining again. That would be a nuisance. That's true, so for now, let's head into the city. How are we going to avoid the cameras? We need to be careful not to get caught by the bad guys. Natsuhiko led the two girls. And later, they ended up in the heart of the city. They somehow made it while taking meticulous care not to be caught by the security department or the surveillance cameras. And nobody questioned why they were sneaking. Where can we stay the night? How about a manga cafe or something? Where would we find a manga cafe at this hour? They're heavily regulated. It has very slight dating sim elements in that there are romance scenes you can get at one point in the game. But no, this is a more straightforward visual novel with branches that lead to different endings. Lots of bad endings and one single canon good ending. Where would we find a manga cafe at this hour? They're heavily regulated. But we don't have much money. Natsuhiko, how about that? Natsuhiko traced Mashiro's glance. A karaoke box, huh? Gonna hide in the karaoke box? Alright. We have been calling it a dating sim as a joke, yeah. She was looking at a karaoke box that primarily served Rokame Academy students. The reception desk was so lenient that they allowed students to go there at night, no questions asked. There was a surveillance camera at the entrance, but there were so many dead spots that it seemed easy enough to enter without being caught on film. And of course, there were no surveillance cameras inside, which made it a calming place for the students to let loose from the stress of living in such an uptight town. Looks like they're open 24 hours. Perfect, right? Then let's hurry up and get in. There's no point if we linger long enough for them to spot our entrance. As Natsuhiko started walking up to the door, Salou tugged on his sleeve. Hold on, what's that karaoke box? Huh? Huh? Salou, you don't know what a karaoke box is? Yeah, like, if you accept her professed backstory, Mashiro, karaoke boxes aren't really a thing outside of Japan. And if we go with the backstory that I think she has and that she's lying about, she would never have been exposed to such things as basic recreation. Never heard of them. What kind of facility is it? Well, I guess it's a facility for singing songs. Songs? Salou stared blankly. Natsuhiko heard there were karaoke boxes in France, but Salou appeared to have no knowledge of them at all. Well, she is also 13. Well, I guess this is as good a learning opportunity as ever. Natsuhiko and Mashiro took Salou into the store. They easily got through the reception desk. Let me get to the plot! Oh, this is so frustrating. They easily got through the reception desk. They were handed microphones and a remote as they made their way to their room. Natsuhiko hadn't personally been to this store, but he had heard rumors that their policy was lax. The room was of an old-fashioned style that had been in use for over 20 years, which means that the devs could just use 2012 karaoke box designs instead of having to come up with something interesting for the 2030 design. But it was safe, and that was all that mattered. After one final check to make sure there were no surveillance cameras, the kids stretched wide. Whew! Good grief. I feel like a fugitive. That's because you are, Natsuhiko. You okay, Salu? Not tired? As Mashiro asked her question, Salu looked restlessly around the room. Natsuhiko, how do you sing here? Huh? Salu, you mean you want to sing? Yes, quite interested. I'm not quite sure this is the most appropriate occasion to sing, though. He was thinking it would be better for them to sleep and let their bodies rest. Well, why not, Natsuhiko? I'm sure Salu's got some pent-up stress and anxiety from all that's happened today. You're too soft on her, Mashiro. But Mashiro had a point. Natsuhiko reconsidered and spoke again. Okay, Salu. First, you choose which song you want to sing using this remote. Save. Okay, let's see. Do I keep the Mashiro and Salu values high? I think so. Yeah, Platypus. This game leans way further into the novel end of visual novels than in the gameplay. Than the gameplay end. The entirety of the gameplay is choosing these values and getting points with different characters and guiding the main character to make decisions based on who you raise values with and lower values with, and that's the entirety of the gameplay of this game. I don't know how standard that is for visual novels, but we're keeping Mashiro and Salu high. Remote? This thing? Yes, if you press that button, the song list comes up, see? Like this? Under Mashiro's guidance, Salu used the remote to bring up a list of songs. Mashiro's helpful even at times like these, huh? Even though she must have been worried, she still took care of Salu. Natsuhiko spoke with Mashiro in the time before the song began. Mashiro, you're kind of like Salu's older sister. You're right. I'm happy to have gotten a new little sister, too. I don't have any real siblings, so I've always dreamed of having one. In any case, it was a pleasant sight for Natsuhiko to see those two get along. And after a short while, the three of them sang songs in turn. Until they lost track of the time and felt satisfied. Along the way, Salu became quite possessive of the microphone. Why are we having the fail music? Salu, can I sing next? Even when Mashiro asked nicely, Salu flat out rejected her. No, 5 more songs. Yeah, me when Guitar Hero. No way. Why not, Mashiro? You're the older sister here, so let it slide. Yeah, but I know. Let's do a duet. They had small quibbles like that as they sang, but they smiled together. It certainly may not have been the best time to sing. And perhaps they were merely running away from the harsh reality outside. But it was an unmistakable truth that the three of them enjoyed this time they had together. And after the 3 singers had exhausted their repertoire, Mashiro started dozing off as she sat next to Natsuhiko. Salu stopped singing and spoke up. Is Mashiro asleep? Yeah, I guess she tired herself out. Did I make her push herself too hard so she could sing with me? No, that's not it at all. I think she enjoyed herself too. And Mashiro was probably able to forget her anxiety too. It's nothing to worry about. I had fun too, after all. I see. That's good. It was a good experience for me, too. I'm grateful to you, too. I never knew it was this fun to sing so enthusiastically. Something suddenly struck Natsuhiko as he heard those words. Maybe what Sulu enjoyed wasn't the new experience of karaoke, but the new experience of singing out loud? Ah, you're catching on. Come to think of it, he knew almost nothing about her past. Say, Sulu? What is it? What was your life like back in France? She panics. Sulu fell silent at the question. No, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. I was just kind of curious. No, it's not that I don't want to talk about it. I'll talk if you want. It's just that it's not all that interesting. And with that self-derisive statement, Sulu quietly began to speak. I was born in a large estate in the countryside of France. I was raised inside there, almost like a bird in a cage. Huh, so you really were a high-class girl? I'm not entirely sure what that means, but perhaps. Both of my parents administrate nuclear power-related businesses in France, apparently. I lived a life devoid of any inconvenience. I was surrounded by private tutors and received training in all sorts of fields. Okay, hang on. This game keeps shooting down all my cool theories about these characters in favor of more mundane, less interesting things. Like, Anna was not Miyoko Tenkawa, and Sulu was telling the truth about living in France instead of growing up in Labo? That's so much less interesting. I lived a life devoid of any inconvenience. I was surrounded by private tutors and received training in all sorts of fields. All sorts of fields? Studies centered in science, as well as 15 foreign languages, including English, Japanese, and Chinese. Engineering skills, fine arts, including piano and painting, as well as gymnastics and martial arts. You didn't have time for fun at all, did you, Sulu? This is the first time you've had fun in your entire life, isn't it? Natsuhiko was shocked. He did think she was an extraordinarily gifted girl, but he didn't expect it to that degree. I soaked up that knowledge like water into dry sand. The pursuit of knowledge and the mastering of skills were the proof of my existence. My memories consist of nothing else. You didn't play outside with neighborhood friends or anything? That basically never happened. My parents were quite strict, so I always stayed at home. I hardly ever felt the need to go outside myself. I see. Natsuhiko felt that her upbringing was completely different than theirs. Yeah, no shit. When Natsuhiko was still playing outside, Sulu was already taking advanced private classes at home. Sulu's peculiarities and abilities were probably derived from her upbringing. But he thought that parents who kept their daughter locked away at all times couldn't be very decent parents at all. Yeah, agreed. It might not be an easy topic to talk about. He didn't know if there were complicated circumstances or if it had something to do with Sulu's health. But even so, Natsuhiko asked more questions. But you seem to be able to go outside now. So, did your parents change their minds? That's not the case at all. Dr. Tenkawa took me away from there. Huh? Why would Mom do that? How does she even know your parents to begin with? I mean, I did hear that they're distant relatives, but still. When the professor was young, she lived in France for a period of time. She boarded in our house. Afterwards, she stayed in contact with my parents. That's how she learned about me, apparently. The professor said she wanted to give me freedom. Sulu, hi! Mom said that, huh? Here's the other thing about Before Crime. Is that After Days had a lot of choices where you had to raise certain values and lower others to get the right path, to almost all of your decisions were actual decisions. Whereas in Before Crime, like 95% of the choices are keep the character high. Mom said that, huh? It was hard to believe that so suddenly, but Salou didn't seem to be lying at all. The professor persuaded my parents to let me study abroad in Japan. That is all I've heard from her. So that's why you suddenly transferred in at such an odd time. Salou nodded lightly. I was a little, no, quite afraid of leaving the house. Your brain ghost feels me. So, at first, I never felt the desire to know the outside world. But even so, as I came to this town, I finally came to realize something. Deep down, I really did want to go outside after all. We've only gotten a few red things which would have led to bad end. Curious what the previous bad end options would involve. Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Shy, what bad ends could we have even gotten so far? Because we're in flashbacks for the entirety of Before Crime. And that's where all the red options have been, I think. Right? Huh. Deep down, I really did want to go outside after all. I see. Natsuhiko remembered another girl who was waiting at home and could not leave. Salou spoke in a depressed tone. That said, I'm still afraid. Contact with other people is always accompanied by fear. Honestly speaking, I was afraid of both you and Mashiro. Most of the bad endings all happen in the flash forwards, either if your character values are very low, or you make a choice just before the flash forward to not trust a character. I see. Okay. And I assume you die horribly. Huh? I'm sorry if you find that discomforting. No, not at all. You did well to speak up about it. I'm actually glad you did. It helps a lot to hear that. Salou sighed slightly. She appeared to be genuinely relieved. Natsuhiko quickly tried to change the topic. If there's anything you want to say to me, feel free to just say it, okay? Okay. Actually, I was particularly scared of you. Huh? Back when we first met, you were so cold to me. I thought I had done something bad, but I didn't understand what, and that made me sad. Our conversations often didn't mesh. There were several times where I felt uneasy. I'm so sorry about that. No, it's okay. You gradually grew kinder to me. It made me quite happy. And little by little, my fear of you faded away. Being with you became a happy thing. So I decided to try my best to come in contact with other people, no matter how scary it may seem. Natsuhiko looked Salou in the face long and hard. Her every earnest word touched his heart. Salou, that's so admirable of you. No, I didn't come to that way of thinking by myself. What you told me this afternoon gave me the boost I needed. Huh? You said you don't have to understand what's on other people's minds. It was really comforting to hear that. Yeah, it was a little comforting for me to say it, too. You're like me? Yeah, just like you. She smiled slightly at that statement. So many things really have happened since I came to this city. So many things I could never learn at home. It's an honor to be a part of your learning experience. But there was one slightly sinful influence in this experience. A sinful influence? Yes. Spending time with all of you has given me a taste of the forbidden fruit, of fun. And you're thinking you won't be able to have fun again when you go home, aren't you? Salou cast her head down in shame. A faint shadow cast over her stiff expression. When I was at home, I only spoke the bare minimum with my parents and tutors. So never in my life had I experienced either fear or fun. But now that I've come to this town, I look back to my past and find nothing that qualifies as a nostalgic memory. I wouldn't say I'd have been better off not knowing, but still, it makes me a little sad nonetheless. Yeah, well, you've experienced it now. Salou's expression indeed looked sad, and so Natsuhiko spoke up without thinking. What are you talking about, Salou? Huh? If you don't have any nostalgic memories, then why don't we make up for all that lost time by making heaps of them now? I'm sure Mashiro and Yuri would be glad to. I mean, I know I would. You've made so many friends, don't you see? So there's nothing you need to worry about. All three of us. Well, 2.5. 2? Do we count the brain ghost as a friend? I'm not sure she's an independent intelligence. Salou looked up and made direct eye contact with Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko, you're kind of an optimist. What's wrong with that? That's just part of my nature, I guess. I think so too, but that might be why your words often relieve me of my worries. I'll say it again. Thank you, Natsuhiko. Salou smiled sweetly. Natsuhiko was shocked. It was the first time he had seen Salou truly smile like that. It was so unexpectedly cute. Or rather, it was exactly as cute as he had expected. Well, it was nothing, I guess. As Natsuhiko stammered, Alice let out a voice he hadn't heard before. Salou's face stiffened that very moment. Huh? She looked as if she could not believe what she had heard from Alice. What was the emotion? What's wrong? Nothing. Salou looked at Natsuhiko, her face beet red. Natsuhiko, what were you thinking just now? Huh? Nothing, really. Honest? Honest. Silence filled the room. Well, this is awkward, but it wasn't an uncomfortable silence at all. And if the silence keeps going, it's going to get awkward real quick. The flustered Natsuhiko quickly tried to change the subject. Anyway, you're glad you came to this town, right? Huh? I guess? Salou looked as if she were caught off guard for a second. But then she took a deep breath and returned to her usual poker face. I certainly don't regret coming here. Nor do I regret enrolling in Rokume Academy or living in the Tenkawa household. I see. But about that, why did you start living at our place? Where else was she going to stay, Natsuhiko? Tell me about yourself. One reason was because I had no other place to live. Another reason was because the professor wanted me to protect you. I've already said this before, but it's because Rokume City's public order has recently gotten worse. Public order, huh? Well, that's true. When she had told him a few days ago, he didn't quite understand what she had meant. But today, what she said felt all too real. Protect me, huh? Well, you've seen her throw a grown man 3 times her weight. Apparently, Salou's training back in France gave her the physical ability and the martial arts skills necessary to lead that security guard by the nose today. Natsuhiko didn't know exactly how much faith his mother had in Salou, but it's too shameful to have to rely on someone else for protection all the time. Hey, Salou, you threw that security guard today, didn't you? Do you think I can learn to do that too? You? She bursts out laughing. Well, I mean, the situation's gotten tense. I want to be able to defend myself, too. Dabbling just a bit in martial arts won't help much, but there are techniques that even amateurs can use. Then please, teach me those. Roger. In that case, grab me by the nape of the neck. What, like a cat? Okay, like this? Natsuhiko gently reached out for the nape of Salu's neck. And the very next moment, Salu grabbed his hand. If someone tries to grab you by the neck, first you grab back at their wrist. Then you twist that wrist by wrapping around behind them. And pull down forcefully. And with an energetic shout from Salu, Natsuhiko's world turned upside down, and Mashiro awoke. Natsuhiko groaned as a shock ran through his back. It was an odd sensation. Salu didn't seem to exert that much strength, and yet she quickly threw him off his feet. You okay? Yeah, Salu explained as Natsuhiko slowly got up. That was a Shihonage, or four-direction throw, an Aikido technique that exploits human reflexes. You're pulling the opponent's elbow backward, so when they instinctively try to escape from the pain, they end up contributing to getting themselves thrown down. I see. When the opponent grabs at the nape of the neck, even an amateur can do it. Isn't the nape of the neck the back of your neck? Hang on. Nape of neck meaning. The back of your neck, yeah. It's the spot where the back of your hair begins. Right, yeah. You're making it sound like you do this when somebody reaches out to grab your throat. But don't forget, the most important thing in the art of self-defense is to get away. To get away? Yes. Japan has this proverb, doesn't it? A splattering of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. I think it's smattering. You mean a smattering of knowledge. What's a splattering of knowledge? That sounds kind of scary. Japanese is hard. So even you can make mistakes like that, eh? That's kind of a relief. Shut up, Natsuhiko. Anyway, I'm the one who will protect you. You should fight strictly as a last resort. Understood. If something happens, I'll count on you first. Natsuhiko nodded positively to Salu's suggestion. It was a pity to have to rely on someone else for protection all the time, but what Salu said was justified. Thanks for telling me how to do that technique. If only I could do something for you in return. In that case, there's something I want you to tell me. I just told you about my past, so now I want to hear something about you. Another flashback? Huh? What about me? Anything. Like your family, maybe. Your mother is Dr. Tenkawa, but where's your father? Ah, she hasn't told you? Well, a long time ago, Dad became a star. A star? She didn't seem to understand the euphemism, so Natsuhiko spoke up front this time. That means he died. Huh? He was 32 years old. He was young, but he suffered from cancer. Oh, that sucks. I was 5 at the time, so it's already been over 10 years. So that was before you met Yuri, and before you became friends with Mashiro. I'm sorry. No, you don't have to worry about it. It's long in the past, so I'm not sad about it at all anymore. Slight silence spread through the room. Man, the writers of this scene really like the word slight. After making sure that Alice hadn't made any sounds, Salu sighed in relief and spoke. What kind of person was your father? Well, I don't really remember. He was apparently a communicator, like me. Your father? He was apparently a rank B aptitude, ability level 4 communicator, which was rare for someone born before the Grand Communicator discovery. Once Natsuhiko finished recounting the second-hand information from his mother, Salu spoke in agreement. So you must have inherited your high aptitude from your father. I'm fairly sure the professor's aptitude is only rank F after all. I wonder about that. Well, it is true that Mom doesn't have the aptitude, though. What do you mean? You have rank S aptitude, so it's only natural to think it's due to your father's genetics. Well, about that, Salu. Natsuhiko lowered his voice to a whisper. Actually, my aptitude wasn't always rank S. Huh? When they tested my aptitude before I started school, it was rank C. But when they measured me again in elementary school, it had risen to rank S. They probably measured him after Yuri died and implanted herself in his brain. Okay, I'm torn. I don't know whether she's a brain ghost or an actual ghost hitching a ride. Whatever she is, she's visible to people who are able to be affected by telepathy / empathy. Huh. Salu's eyes widened at the revelation. Hold on, what is the meaning of that? Your aptitude is supposed to be determined at birth and stay the same for the rest of your life. That's what makes the whole thing a mystery. The doctor who measured me was horribly confused too. There was a commotion of how it was such a rare case, but in the end, they decided that the rank C reading from before I started elementary school was a measurement error, and that my correct aptitude was rank S. That was a truth that next to nobody knew. According to the Rokume Academy student database, Natsuhiko by nature had rank S aptitude. The data from his time with rank C aptitude had been erased. Does that even happen? Well, it stayed as rank S no matter how many years have passed, so that's probably the correct reading. I guess that's really all that's worth a special mention. I've lived a fairly ordinary life aside from that. You're a latchkey kid, Natsuhiko. I'm not sure that's ordinary. I see. Natsuhiko suddenly realized how slow Salu's reaction had been. I'm sorry, was that a boring story? No, not at all. She's about to pass out. Actually, I've just been terribly exhausted for a while now. Huh, really? Save. Man, I've been in Before Crime for... Oh, no, that story date is in universe. That's not time frame. Up here. I've been in Before Crime for almost 16 hours. Okay. Salu, hi. I've been trying so hard to stay awake so I could listen to your story, but I'm at my limit. No, it's okay. It's okay. We can still talk about it any other time. Okay, then I'll go sleep. And then, as if Salu's soundboard had run out of batteries, her voice faded into the distance. If you're going to sleep, why don't you sleep on my lap? Thanks. Don't mind if I do. Salu collapsed onto Natsuhiko's lap and shut her eyes. Huh? Well, she passed out fast. Salu dozed off before he could pull a just kidding. It was just supposed to be a light-hearted joke, but okay. As he spoke, Natsuhiko remembered Salu's condition. Since she was unable to understand other people's feelings, then perhaps she couldn't catch jokes either. It would probably be a jerk move on my part to tease her even as a joke. Yeah, that is a problem sometimes with autism. In short, he decided it would probably be best to always speak the earnest truth when talking to Salu. Good. Natsuhiko secretly hid those thoughts as he gazed upon her sleeping face. He considered heading off to sleep himself, but then Yuri appeared! Natsuhiko suddenly got worried about Yuri. I hope she's okay. Hopefully, the security department people they escaped from didn't force their way into the Tenkawa residence and interrogate Yuri. Natsuhiko got more and more worried. And Yuri would probably get worried too if they didn't come back until the next day. I'll go call her. Perhaps it was a mistake to leave their PDAs behind. Natsuhiko quietly left the room, trying his best not to make a sound. So he just dumped Salu's head onto the couch. Okay. As he left the building, Natsuhiko looked around the nighttime streets. Is there a payphone anywhere? There were hardly any of the sort nowadays, but luckily Natsuhiko managed to find a telephone box close to the store. Didn't the last phone booth in New York City close down a couple of years ago? I know Japan in Tokyo still has them all over the place. But they're less and less common around the world. Am I remembering correctly? The last phone booth in New York City shut down a couple of years ago? Got removed? Might have been a couple of years ago. Alright. Yuri High. He rushed inside, wary of the security department and surveillance cameras. He picked up the receiver and dialed his home phone number. May 2022, the last phone booth was removed. Man, end of an era. I guess they weren't making any money because of the proliferation of cell phones. I still think it would be good to have them around so that people who've lost their cell phone or have a dead cell phone can still make calls, but I guess I understand why they're gone now. He picked up the receiver and dialed his home phone number. The dial tone rang. However, Yuri did not answer because she's just a brain ghost. No, don't tell me the security department took her away. Such an experience would certainly trigger a panic attack, and she'd cry so hard she'd lose sight of herself. The longer the dial tone rang, the faster Natsuhiko's anxiety spread. Please pick up, Yuri. Just as Natsuhiko made that silent prayer, the phone finally connected. They did replace some New York City ones with Wi-Fi kiosks, so it's probably an acceptable replacement. Do the Wi-Fi kiosks come with laptops in them? Because, like, if they don't come with a way to contact people, people with dead cell phones are still out of luck when they come across a Wi-Fi kiosk. Hello? Ah, Yuri. Hikarin. Are you okay over there? The security department hasn't tried to get inside, have they? No, nothing's happened. No need to worry. Natsuhiko felt relieved to hear Yuri's relaxed voice. More importantly, are you guys okay after what happened? Yeah, no problem here. None of us have been caught yet or anything. Where are you guys now? Natsuhiko was about to say the karaoke box in the shopping district, but he stopped himself. He was afraid that the phones could be wiretapped. Good thinking, Natsuhiko. The security department probably wasn't being that thorough, but it was better to be safe than sorry. Somewhere in the city. I see. As if Yuri had sensed Natsuhiko's misgivings, she pried no further. Yeah, she sensed them because she's sharing his brain. The kiosks are now equipped with an app that connects users with social services, as well as access to free phone call capabilities, interactive maps, and a USB charging station. Okay, so there's a way to call, like 911 or whatever? And a USB charging station is good. I don't always bring my charger. Well, here's the thing about USB charging bricks out in the wild. You should never use those. Because here's the thing. Your charger cable is also a data cable. If somebody opens up one of those USB charging stations and puts the USB charging stations can have a computer inside. If somebody infects that with malware or has set up one that's fake and has malware in it, you're fucked. If you hook up to one of those, you should never use a USB charging station out in the wild. Well, I guess sometimes it's reasonable to assume it's a safe one. But, like, as a general rule, you should be careful about that. As if Yuri had sensed Natsuhiko's misgivings, she pried no further. Well, there's no need to worry about us, but it doesn't look like we'll be able to come home today. I'm thinking of camping out somewhere like the park with Mashiro and Salu. Yuri, hi. That was a lie, a small diversion in the off chance that the phone was actually tapped. Camping? Out in the park? Will the girls be okay? Well, Mashiro's a pretty hardy fellow, you know, and despite her looks, Salu's actually quite a wild girl. Huh? What? I'm saying you don't need to worry. It should be fine to sleep outside at night every now and then. Maybe you're right. Yuri suddenly whispered in a quiet voice. This sure brings me back, Hikarin, to another flashback! Get on with the plot! Something like this happened a long time ago too, didn't it? Huh? Remember? That time we ran away from home. Yuri's question jogged Natsuhiko's memory. The conclusion to their running away from home experience. Yeah, I remember. Natsuhiko felt the visions of a day long past rise up once more from the bottom of his heart. Let's go somewhere, just the two of us. World's End. After he had said that in the park, Natsuhiko took Yuri by the hand and first headed back to the Tenkawa household. His mother was late getting back, as usual. Normally, it made him lonely, but that day it was actually more convenient for her to be absent. She's not going to notice his absence at all, is she? I'm sure Mom would get mad at me if she found out. And if that happened, she'd probably send Yuri home right off the bat. Natsuhiko couldn't ask any adults for help, not even his own mother. He had to be the one to protect Yuri. Okay, let's prepare, Yuri. Oh, excuse me. Prepare what exactly? I've got a backpack, so let's put everything we need inside. First, we obviously need food. No questions there. Yeah, or we'll get hungry. The kids fished around the kitchen. They looked for foods that didn't need to be cooked, particularly on the snack shelf. At least it's the conclusion based on what they said, so maybe that will be flash forwards only. One can hope, but there's still a whole nother day between now and the day of the terrorist attack. So we've still got Chapter 6 to go before we reach the present day. They looked for foods that didn't need to be cooked, particularly on the snacks shelf. Hey, Natsuhiko, you think we should bring these too? What's that? Wait, that's instant ramen, isn't it? No. We might have to go somewhere without a kitchen, you know? You could just eat the brick. I've done that before. We just need to make a fire in that case. Do either of you know how to make a fire? So we're taking them. No buts. Hey now. If we need to make a fire, we should bring a lighter then, right? Yuri gleefully picked out the things for them to bring. Her mood had shifted so suddenly She was enjoying herself now. Well, fine. Deep down, Natsuhiko was excited too. It was a brand new adventure, a journey of justice to protect Yuri, an illusion of a new future. The kids were exhilarated. A short while later, the backpack was stuffed to the brim. Natsuhiko put on his precious watch, and they were ready to disembark. Where'd the watch come from? Is that a hand-me-down from his dead dad? Alright, let's go, Yuri. Yeah. Natsuhiko took Yuri by the arm and left the house. Yeah, it was his father's watch, right? Thought I remembered that correctly. Where should we go? Anywhere's fine. Anywhere far away from that house, at least. She didn't refer to it as my house. She referred to it as that house. She doesn't think of that place as home. Okay, then let's head to the secret base. Secret base? It's in the outskirts of town. We found it the other day when we went exploring. Let's go there then. I'll follow you, Natsuhiko. Okay, feels so weird to have her call Natsuhiko anything aside from Hikarin. Okay, full speed ahead. Yeah! With an enthusiastic cheer, the kids walked in the opposite direction from Yuri's house. They walked alone on the long road to the secret base. It was the end of May, and yet the night air was surprisingly chilly. We just passed the end of May. God, it is June 3rd and it is 81 degrees outside according to my weather tracker. That's awful. It was the end of May, and yet the night air was surprisingly chilly. Each time the wind blew, their body heat gradually sapped away. But that was only a trivial matter to them. They advanced down their path, feeling like they were the only people on Earth. Eventually, they reached a discolored building. It was a ruined factory that was no longer in use. This is the secret base? Yeah, we made it our own by bringing lots of different stuff into it. Let's get inside already. Hold my hand so you don't get lost. Yeah. Natsuhiko moved briskly in the darkness. He had played there countless times, so he already had a complete understanding of what was where. Let's see, if I remember correctly, Natsuhiko reached out in the darkness. And a moment later, wow! A soft light filled the room. Oh, excuse me. Natsuhiko had lit an oil lamp with the lighter. This is a lamp I brought from home. As long as we have this, we'll be fine, even at night. Wow, I never knew there was a place like this. Yuri looked around with a twinkle in her eye. A variety of objects of all shapes and sizes adorned the ruined factory. Tetanus on all of them. From furniture like an old sofa or cupboard, to outdoor items like a charcoal stove or a parasol. Time killers like manga and toys, as well as items of questionable usefulness like a wrench, a millstone, and a pair of nunchaku. I know, cool, right? Not just me, but everyone brought all kinds of things. Stuff they'd find or bring from home. Yeah, it really is a secret base. Yuri smiled out of honest enjoyment. Natsuhiko felt happy too and pointed to the sofa. Well, let's take a seat. We've walked a lot, so you must be hungry, right? Yeah. The kids sat down next to each other and took the snacks out of the backpack. They ate the sweet biscuits as they talked. We've got blankets and sleeping bags. We're all set to stay the night. Then can I stay here forever? Of course. Mashiro and the others have been making this place a stronghold lately. I'm sure they'll be able to help out in a lot of ways. We'll have nothing to worry about. Every day's gonna be fun. Oh, I can't wait. Yuri smiled as she gazed at the lamp. The light cast a shadow on her face. Actually, I've never had a single fun memory until I came to this town. Huh? Really? Yeah. I am a communicator after all, you know? Yeah, but so what? Before I started school, I took a genetic test, found out I had rank C attitude. And then Mom and Dad started to treat me like a pest. Well, they got mad a lot before that, though. I never did anything fun after that. Every day was a sad day. So I tried my bestest to practice BC. I thought that if I could read minds, I could learn why Mom and Dad hate me so much. Oh, she says that with a smile, this poor kid. But it didn't work. The harder I tried, the more Mom and Dad treated me like a pest. Yuri's voice was deathly quiet, which made it all the more heartrending. Yuri. Even though he had never had such an experience, he could still understand her sadness. He frantically searched his meager vocabulary for the right words to say to her. I won't ever treat you like a pest. Huh? I'll stay with you forever, Yuri. There's no need for you to read minds or anything either. So you don't have to worry anymore. Natsuhiko's awkward encouragement made her smile with joy from the bottom of her heart. Thank you, Natsuhiko. Well, even if you are a communicator, I don't mind it at all. We're friends, after all. You're right. And besides, there is one thing that makes me glad I was born a communicator. Huh? Well, it's because that's how I met you. Aww. If I wasn't a communicator, I never would have moved to this town. Yuri looked at Natsuhiko as she spoke. Natsuhiko couldn't help but look away. He felt an unknown emotion welling up from the bottom of his heart. His face felt unbearably hot, and he couldn't form any words. Huh? What's wrong? Nothing. Part of a biscuit just got caught in my throat, that's all.
They're called cookies.
Huh? Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine now. I'm strong after all. Okay, thank goodness. Yuri sighed in relief. Sadness was no longer anywhere to be seen on her face. Natsuhiko sighed too as he pondered. Thank goodness. It looks like taking her away from home was the right choice. Natsuhiko looked at the lamp. He felt as if he could see a bright future waiting for them reflected in its flames. Looks like Yuri won't have to cry anymore now. Hopefully, she can learn to forget all the sad things that have happened so far. But the moment Natsuhiko felt that optimism, the lamp's light blew out. Huh? What happened? Uh-oh. Looks like it ran out of fuel, I guess. Let's resupply tomorrow. Okay. Yuri's voice was listless. Crap, I should have made sure there was enough fuel. As Natsuhiko mulled over his mistake, Yuri murmured beside him. Natsuhiko, are you there? Huh? Yeah, why? She's scared. What's wrong? I'm kind of scared now. Can we stay closer together? Yeah. Natsuhiko huddled up with Yuri as told. He could feel the warmth of her arm against his. But the air gradually cooled and caressed their skin. Kinda chilly. Grab a blanket. Yeah. Grab a blanket. I wonder if Dad's gonna come to take me back. He won't. But even if he does, A sound from outside interrupted Natsuhiko. All the cameras followed them, the sound of footsteps. Who's there? It's Dad. Dad's come to take me away. Natsuhiko. Yuri tugged on Natsuhiko's sleeve. Natsuhiko placed his hand over hers. It's okay. I'll deal with your dad. No, if you make him mad, he'll beat you for hours, Natsuhiko. Okay, confirmation that he beats her. I don't care if I take a beating if it's for you, Yuri. No, you mustn't. I don't want you to get beaten either, Natsuhiko. Shh. Natsuhiko panicked and interrupted Yuri. For even as they spoke, the sound of footsteps got closer. It's either Mashiro or Natsuhiko's mom. Up to the entrance of the ruined factory. I really do need to deal with him, though, no matter what Yuri might say. Natsuhiko silently stood up and rushed toward the footsteps. Natsuhiko! Don't worry, I'll protect you, Yuri. Yep, it's his mom. Natsuhiko left those words behind as he dashed ahead. Someone's shadow stood at the entrance. Judging by its size alone, it had to have been an adult. Gotta rush up to him and punch him in the face. You're 6, Natsuhiko. The highest you could reach is his balls. And she doesn't have those. Then I'll say, stop picking on Yuri. That was all he had in mind. Natsuhiko rushed at the shadow, and then... Natsuhiko? That voice stopped him. Huh? Mom? The shadow's true identity was Natsuhiko's mother, Dr. Miyoko Tenkawa. The professor threw Natsuhiko one look and said, Don't Mom me. I was worried sick about you. When I got back, you weren't home, and the kitchen was a mess. Natsuhiko was an action kid, not a thinking kid. Yeah, definitely. But thank goodness I was able to find you relatively quickly. Why are you here, Mom? I panicked and called the Tobas. Mashiro told me about this place. I rushed over here as soon as I found out. I haven't run so much in about 5 years. Is that so? Natsuhiko sighed, all his tension slackened in a matter of seconds. But his sense of relief was blown away by the professor's next words. Huh? Who's that over there? The professor noticed something moving in the darkness behind Natsuhiko. Yuri hesitantly peeped up and walked up out of the shadows. She's my new friend, Yuri. After the kid's reluctant introduction, the professor spoke in exasperation. So you're the daughter of the Kotonos who moved in the other day. How do you know that? You should know better, Natsuhiko. You can't keep a girl out this late. But... The professor ignored Natsuhiko and smiled at Yuri. I'm so sorry, Yuri. Come on, let's bring you home. I'm sure your parents are worried about you. No, they're not. Yuri's whole body twitched at the word parents. She looked to the professor with tears in her eyes. Oh my, what's the matter? In the professor's confusion, Natsuhiko made a bold declaration. Mom, please don't bring Yuri back to that house. Huh? There's no way I can just... You can't take her back there. Yuri doesn't want to go back to a house like that. Yuri's mom and dad treat her like she's a pest just because she's a communicator. Every day they shout, they say mean things, and they kick her out of the house. They what? Oh, she is mad. Good. The professor's face stiffened for a moment. Is that true, Yuri? After a short moment's hesitation, Yuri painfully nodded. Natsuhiko endured the sadness and continued, Tell her they beat her! That's why I wanted to save Yuri. I thought that if she just lived in this secret base, she'd never have to go back to that house again. The professor sank into silence with a grim look on her face before placing her hands on Natsuhiko's shoulders. I understand the circumstances, but still, by no means can she live here. Children cannot live by themselves. No way. You're so mean, Mom. Yuri just... And that's why... The professor held Natsuhiko still as he started pleading with her. I will do something about this myself. Okay! Good Mom days! I wonder what changed. Maybe she became more distant after Yuri died? You know what? That's probably why she changed and became so distant from Natsuhiko. Is Yuri died under her watch and she blames herself. That could be it. I will do something about this myself. Huh? You can relax, Yuri. I promise I'll make things right. The professor smiled at Yuri, and as if all of Yuri's threads of tension had snapped. Oh, poor Yuri. She burst into tears in a stifled voice. Yuri! Natsuhiko rushed up to Yuri in a panic to hold her hand. Yuri squeezed his hand back and spoke. Thank you so much. Thank you, Natsuhiko, and Mrs. Natsuhiko's mom. Oh, that was adorable, actually. Yuri's sobs echoed in the darkness. Natsuhiko's mother said nothing. Natsuhiko himself said nothing. All he could do was keep holding Yuri's hand as she sobbed. I wonder if Mom had already decided to take custody of Yuri back then. He never imagined they'd get their wish with the death of Yuri's parents, but it wasn't an unbelievable possibility. Yuri's parents kicked the bucket and that's how she moved in? How'd they die? Was it in one of the arsons? No, wait. That was 10 years prior. Yes, okay, maybe it was... Huh. Did they die in a terrorist attack? A little bit karmic, that. He never imagined they'd get their wish with the death of Yuri's parents, but it wasn't an unbelievable possibility. But even though his mother was gentle at the time, she would eventually become cold and distant, rarely returning home. But that's exactly why Natsuhiko and Yuri developed a bond of mutual trust beyond that of even blood relatives. That's probably why we worry way too much about each other. Natsuhiko spoke with that thought in mind. But still, I was a little surprised you saw me off so easily. Huh? Well, I thought you hated incidents and danger and such more than I did. So why did you say what you said this time? Why the change in heart? She's already told you to be more like the old Natsuhiko. Natsuhiko. Yeah, it would be very interesting, but probably not the case if Miyoko killed them. In response to that casual question, static, and we move on to the next day. Yep, I was right! Because those were the words you were wishing for. Yuri responded softly and ominously. Huh? To be honest, I've always been thinking. Hikari, do you truly love the calm life you've been living? Or are you just saying you do so as to not disagree with me? Natsuhiko gulped to hear what she was insinuating. Of course not. I mean, at least I never meant to, but what makes you say so all of a sudden? Those were the words I wished for. What makes you say that? I just knew. Yuri's answer was ambiguous, yet confident. That's what I wished for? Even if that is true, how would she know? As he pondered the puzzle, a certain doubt rose up in his mind. No way. Is Yuri... Hang on. When Watase finds Yuri's dead body with a bullet hole in the forehead, that is the last time chronologically Yuri shows up in After Days. Okay. Did something kill her ghost or remove her from Natsuhiko's brain? Huh. What happened there? Or was that just a projection, or Watase hallucinating? No way. Is Yuri... But before he could finish that thought, Yuri muttered. Sorry if I'm wrong about this, but... Hikarin, have you ever thought that you wanted to return to your past self? My past self? Have you been holding yourself back from doing anything all this time out of concern for me? Things like stepping up to the face of danger by yourself. No, why would I do that on purpose? That's a normal response. But you know, I've been thinking that you truly are the type of person to choose the just path, no matter how dangerous that path may be. Ah, hey, Yuri! The phone's connection suddenly cut off there. Before he knew it, the hustle and bustle of the town disappeared too, leaving Natsuhiko wrapped in silence. The only sound echoing through the silence was the ticking of Natsuhiko's watch. I've never met a person with a watch that ticks audibly. But soon enough, even that sound stopped, because the watch is broken. Again? Yep. When he looked to check, his watch was indeed broken. Back to reality again, huh? He already knew. He knew that all this time he was merely having a recollection of September 14th. He knew that his recollections of the past were gradually getting closer to the present, to the day this watch broke. In the dead silence, Natsuhiko's consciousness returned to September 16th. Yuri, September 16th. Natsuhiko recalled that long day in just a moment's time. Really? Because that took like 6 hours of gameplay. We've now gone past the last bad ending you can get in B, though the only way you can get that one is if you have less than 7 Mashiro points or less than 6 with Saloon. Oh, okay. And I assume this is where you would die. Huh. Is Chapter 6 the last chapter of Route B? And then we'll get to the third route, which will be interesting. Natsuhiko recalled that long day in just a moment's time. He recalled the collapse of his calm daily life, as well as how he plunged into the maelstrom of an incident with Mashiro and Saloon. That's right, no matter how far I am from Yuri, I must fulfill my promise to her. But Yuri ended up getting dragged into the incident regardless, and now she stood with Mashiro in front of it. The passageway was blocked by fire on both sides, leaving nowhere to escape. But regardless... Hey, Hikarin, think hard about the path you should take. Those words fanned the fire burning in Natsuhiko's heart. She's right. No matter what the danger, I'll take the correct path. Or else I have no hope of overcoming the past. Natsuhiko grabbed Mashiro by the hand. Don't give up. Let's go, Mashiro. Huh? Where? Let's take a different path. This isn't the only way to Area 5. Natsuhiko recalled the map he had just seen. This is the path that connects Area 4 and 5's outer rings. Even if this path is a dead end, the inner ring path could still be an option. Then if we can get to Area 4's inner ring... Yeah, let's cut back through the Area 4 fire and enter Area 5 through the inner ring. That gives us a hell of a better chance of survival than staying here and doing nothing. Yeah! Mashiro looked a little bewildered, but she replied strongly soon enough. Yuri smiled as if she were watching over the two of them. Which she is. Okay, let's go, guys. Natsuhiko took them by the hand and opened the gate on the Area 4 side. And once again they plunged into the blazing Area 4 outer ring. Natsuhiko gripped the girl's hands tight. Okay, first up, close your eyes, and don't you dare let go of my hand. If you stick with me, we'll definitely escape. Got it. Hikari, be careful. Natsuhiko nodded and ran, leading them by the hand. Mashiro's gait was a little uncertain though, perhaps because of fear. However, Yuri was surprisingly calm and matched Natsuhiko's pace perfectly. Why shouldn't she be calm? It's not like she can burn to death. As a result, Natsuhiko wasn't too heavily burdened. They were able to run confidently. But, oh my god, that means that when Watase tackled Yuri and protected her from the falling debris, he leapt at empty air and got squished for no reason. Ha! Eventually, the smoke got to Natsuhiko's eyes, blurring them over with tears. Endure it. If I stop here, Mashiro and Yuri are as good as dead. Natsuhiko desperately ran, despite his blurred vision. And then they slipped through the connecting passageway, which is blurred. That's a nice touch. Finding refuge in Area 4's inner ring. And unlike the outer ring, the inner ring had no signs of fire. We're saved. It's okay now, you two. The girls spoke as Natsuhiko took deep breaths. Thank you, Natsuhiko. That was a close one, huh? Yeah, but we can't relax just yet. Not before we get to Area 5. Mashiro's face froze at Natsuhiko's words. You're right. I wonder if the connecting passageway here is safe. I hope it is. They prayed as they walked into the connecting passageway. But they didn't see any sign of fire or smoke in this path. Okay, looks good. Yes. Let's hurry to Area 5. The three of them rushed off in high spirits. Once they entered Area 5's inner ring, they headed for the emergency staircase. The broadcast said that the staircases in Areas 5 and 6 were safe. Quite some time has passed since then, but please still be safe. They rushed to the staircase with that hope in mind. But what waited for them behind the door was only the wreckage of what once was a staircase. No way. It's no good here either? Don't tell me all the staircases have... The three of them left the staircase landing with drooping shoulders. Natsuhiko suddenly got worried about Salu. After pondering for a second, he sent her telepathy. Salu, can you hear me? Where are you right now? And after a little while, he learned about her whereabouts. Good news, you two. I just contacted Salu with BC, and it looks like she's already escaped through Area 6. Really? We can't give up either. There are still other emergency staircases remaining. As in, she got out of the basement? Or she just made it to Area 6 away from the people chasing her. There are ones in Area 5's outer ring and Area 6 as well. If any of the remaining three are safe, then should we go to the outer ring? No, judging by the force of the flames in the connecting passageway, there's a high possibility that Area 5's outer ring is blazing up. Let's go to Area 6 first, and the moment Natsuhiko began to speak, an ominous siren suddenly bellowed. What? What's that? My ears hurt. It was a loud alarm, unlike what they had heard before. Watching the alarm on my audio capture is kind of funny, actually. An automatic broadcast voice followed. A Case N has just been detected. In accordance with this emergency, security has shifted to blockade mode. Oh, Case N, as in I just used BC and it detected that? Locking down all gates and bulkheads. All facility personnel, please administer AD, take shelter in the nearest room, and stay in place. Natsuhiko looked toward the connecting passageway in shock. The security gate in their path shut with a roar. Oh no! Natsuhiko rushed over to the gate and tried opening it. But no matter how much strength he used, no matter how much he pressed the open button, the gate wouldn't budge one bit. Damn it! What's the meaning of this? I don't know, but I guess evacuation mode is over. All the gates that had been opened just got locked again. Then, okay, so is Salu going to find a keycard in Area 6, or are they going to find a keycard in Area 5 and go get her? We've been locked inside the building. Natsuhiko muttered in a grave voice. What do we do? The broadcast said that all gates were locked. That probably included the gate to the outer ring and the gate to Area 4 as well. Damn it, is there no way out? Natsuhiko looked around with that thought in mind. Upon which, a look of astonishment rose up on Yuri's face. I can't believe it. This is happening again. It's like a repeat of 9 years ago. 9 years ago? Suddenly, a flashback to 9 years ago, which I would accept! Because holy shit! Yuri's words jogged Natsuhiko's memory the moment they left her lips. 9 years ago, they had also been locked here in Area 5. That's right. Back then, we heard that same announcement. Oh my god! So many flashbacks! The gates had been shut. The image of Yuri sobbing rose up in the back of Natsuhiko's head. What happened to us after that? But the more he tried to remember the details, the worse his head ached. 'Cause he's got memories of Yuri dying that Yuri is trying to prevent him from accessing. That was the very fragment of the past he had been avoiding. The memory that had haunted them for 9 whole years. Why is this happening again? Natsuhiko endured his headache and looked towards Yuri. If it's hurting me this much, then Yuri must be. A painful look was indeed on her face. But even so, she smiled at him. I'm okay, Hikarin. But Yuri, I haven't grown at all. I came here and got us locked up in here again. In the end, I haven't overcome the past at all. As Natsuhiko vocalized his bitter regrets, Yuri gently replied, It's too early to know that for certain. In the days leading up to today, you've gained the strength you needed to overcome the past, haven't you? When you were with the others, you were always fine. You overcame the truth and the malice thrust before you that day, after all. So I'm sure you can overcome the past this time. That day? Which day? Yesterday! As Natsuhiko mulled over Yuri's confusing choice of words, he heard the sound of his watch ticking. When he looked at the dial, the hands were pointing to 9:15 at 7:09 a.m. Yesterday, huh? The day we got close to the truth. Yuri whispered to the pensive Natsuhiko, Hikarin, it's time for you to remember. It was probably by no coincidence that you've come this far. So, are you prepared? He most certainly is not, Yuri. The moment Yuri said that, Natsuhiko's consciousness returned to yesterday. At exactly 3 hours and 30 minutes of stream. Natsuhiko Tenkawa's determination. Okay. Okay. We're on the last day. So here's what I'm thinking. Shy. You said Chapter 5 was the longest chapter by a wide margin. Do you think we'll finish Chapter 6, starting from here, going to the end of it, tomorrow when we do tomorrow's stream. Because this is a real good stopping place. We'll finish chapter 6 next time. Cool. Yeah, that's where we're going to end for today then. I think this is a really good stopping place. Yeah, that's where we're going to end for today. I am excited for things to start happening. Please let them start happening. I would really like for things to start happening. Oh, man. I liked Route A much better than Route B. The last bit of B can be done in the first stream of July. Might be a slightly longer stream to do that, though. Cool. And then I'm convinced that there's going to be a third route that takes place after the end of Route A that we reached. Excuse me. Yeah, that's where we're going to end for today then. So I'll read my schedule and get off. Let me pull that up. Tomorrow we're playing more Route Double Before Crime After Days for this patron. Wednesday we'll be playing another Crab's Treasure for a patron. Thursday I'm recording a podcast early in the afternoon, but then we will probably be doing Stardew Valley with the co-op crew. Friday I'll be continuing and probably finishing Amnesia: The Dark Descent for a patron. Saturday will, of course, be our weekly Final Fantasy XIV stream, and then Sunday through next Friday will be a solid block of Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. So look forward to that, because I am. So yeah, that's going to be it for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.